I'm Bea.
And I'm Sam.
And we're two best friends who like to talk shit about smut, wingspan,
and sometimes books.
Join us every Wednesday for a new episode.
Welcome back, Smutterflies.
Welcome back, everyone. Happy Wednesday if
Happy
you're listening on a Wednesday.
Or whenever you're listening. Happy day that you're listening.
We're now officially over the halfway mark of this series.
Gets cooking.
Yeah, but I was curious. I wish there was a way to figure out like a total page count.
Oh, yeah, because Empire
I
of
reckon
Storms
the end is probably more heavily weighted than the... Yeah, like,
Tower of Dawn, Empire of Storms, and
Kingdom of Ash.
King of Ash, I was going to say then. Kingdom of Ash are big boys.
Big boys.
Kingdom of Ash is like 900 pages, isn't it?
No, I think it's 1,000.
Oh, is it?
I think so.
I've started Empire of Storms.
Oh, well
and
done.
That's 700.
Yeah, big boys.
I think Tower of Dawn is slightly smaller then.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think the lengthwise goes Kingdom of Ash, Empire of Storms, Tower of Dawn.
Okay.
And then works backwards.
Right.
Through the series.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Ooh. I'm not gonna lie. We'll get into Queen of Shadows in a minute, but like again, I'd forgotten how fucking much happens.
I'm not gonna lie, but I've got a lot of notes.
That's fine.
I think it's going to be me reading to you again.
That's okay. Do you know, like, I sent I sent this to you today, but like, you know, on Spotify, you can comment on our episodes.
Oh,
and Chloe messaged her, I could listen to Sam talk forever. That's why I'm like this listening to you. I'm like, just read the whole book to me. Like, we'll just do an illegal audio book.
Yeah, love it. But yeah, I've got a heavy amount of notes because I was like, right, I'm not going to take as many notes this time because obviously last week our recording was like an hour and a half long. So I was like, right, I'm going to trim down how many notes I take. So I was trying to be really picky with my notes.
Yeah.
And still I've got pages and pages and pages. So I was just like, oh, well, it is what it is.
Side note.
We digress.
We do.
Before we get into that, what are you currently reading?
There's no change again. I'm just do you know what it is? Like, you know, because we're having to read these, like, not super quick, but like we're turning them around in a week.
Yeah.
I'm focusing on that, and then everything else is kind of
and
taking
life.
And I've just been really busy. Like,
a busy weekend, didn't we?
I know, this is that we were out all weekend, so like
I was very drunk.
You were really drunk. When we were at what's it called? Be at One or All Bar One? What's it called?
Yeah, Be at One.
Be at One. You were standing dancing, and I was just looking at you, and I was like, we've literally been out for like 20 minutes. Your eyes were like, oh my God. I was like, I don't think she's making it all night.
I did.
You did? I know, well done. But like, you were really drunk.
I didn't drink in Be at One.
Yeah, I also noticed that. I was like, that's probably why. Because,
yeah. You did a little break.
Yeah, and it was a nice bit of walking just to sober you up, wasn't it?
Yeah, needed that.
But yeah, so no reading on the weekend because we went out.
Yes.
And yeah, so I've done really, like, I finished Queen of Shadows for today, but I've read a bit more of Cammy and I've listened to a bit more of Sunrise on the Reaping, but I'm still there. I do need to pull my finger out my ass because I need to get them done. I've got another beta. I've got Dustbound. I've got Rebel and the Captive. I've got Broken Souls and Bones for LJ before. Because when was that due? That review was in May.
Comes out this month, the book does.
April?
Yeah.
Have you read it?
No. We need to read Deep End for...
I bought that yesterday. I was in
Patreon.
The Works. The Works are by my mum is the best Works.
Is it?
It just has stuff that I never see. Do you know what I got for £10? You know the A Touch of Chaos, A Touch of... You know the Pages of Persephone? Yeah. But you know there's novellas in between, but they're not novellas. They're just...
Yeah.
I got all three of them for £10
nice.
in the Works. I haven't seen it anywhere else, but I got Deep End when I was there as well. So yeah, I've got Deep End. I've got my author spotlight for the end of the month. Shot in the Dark. I've got a lot to read, so I do need to put. I'm this week, like, I got my editing done early.
Oh, well done.
So that I've literally got 10 minutes left to edit of this week's episode, so I can be like reading.
Yeah, nice.
What are you reading?
Like I said, I've started Empire of Storms. I've read about 100 pages of Empire of Storms. And still going with Foxglove. But as I said last week, I'm audiobooking it, so it is only when I'm walking the dog, really. So I'm not like doing huge chunks at a time. I do listen on 1.5, so I probably am getting through it a bit quicker than a normal person would. But I'm not listening to it like every day religiously. It's just like a nice little easy story to chuck on, and I sort of like, oh yeah, I remember what was happening, even if I haven't listened for like 4 days.
Yeah.
So yeah, but obviously we've got the next 3 books to read. I've got Deep End to read. I need to do Broken Souls and Bonds, whatever it's called.
Duskbound.
I need to do Duskbound.
I think that's it though. Yeah,
and I want to read the next book in the Laura Carter series. Obviously, she sent us the first 2, didn't she?
Oh,
Legacy
of the Dead,
and then I think it's Legacy of the Heirs.
Yes.
I really want to read that because that story like did grip me. I'll be honest. So I want to try and get through that. Yeah,
I need to get that full set. I need to buy that 3rd paperback.
And I want the author spotlight that I just did, Amy Clinton. I want her books as well because
so
they're stunning. So yeah, not a lot of exciting updates, and I think for the next 2 weeks, what are you reading? It's going to be like on next week's book.
I know. Because usually we're doing books, but like because we're not doing massive series and they're not huge books. Like normally I'm not saying I struggle to get them done, but like I can normally read the podcast book and read at least 1 to 2 more things. But
and I'd find it easier reading on my Kindle.
Yeah, I hate reading a paperback.
And like I'm taking pictures of the quotes that I want, and it's just faffy. Like at least in my Kindle, I could just highlight things and it would be done. So I do think that's also and they're such big books, trying to like maneuver the pages when you're reading such a big book. So I think that's slowing me down a bit as well.
Sorry guys, not exciting.
I know, any news?
I don't feel like
Author Spotlight will be closed when this comes out, so hopefully we'll have some update on how
choices.
And what the next little run of them are going to look like.
I'm trying to think. I don't think we've got much else we can. My Arc and Street Teams are still open.
Yep. Run.
But Street Team is closing like mid to end of May. If you want to be a part of that run, still run for Arcs because I do feel like it's either going to close when I hit a certain amount or close in September if I don't hit that certain amount.
Yeah.
We're already at 60%.
Amazing.
So,
yeah.
I think that's so boring, guys.
No, it's not.
We're boring people.
We're just busy ghoulies.
Just nothing else going on. Like a Polycon happened.
Oh yeah. Haven't seen much
people
from
fighting
that.
and stealing.
Really?
Yeah. People had to make comments. People fighting in their queues and pinching. LJ put up a thing that one of her readers had a book stolen from their bag. She bought a signed Ever and had it pinched from her bag. There was another author who we follow, but I can't remember their name. That people were having fights in their queues.
Whoa,
wild!
That would be us, wouldn't it?
No, it wouldn't. Absolutely wouldn't be fucking me. No, we wouldn't be fighting people. No.
If we'd had a wine.
We wouldn't be having a wine. No. I know it's boring, innit?
I got nothing.
Sorry, guys. It's just a rainy, boring day here in Wales. Nothing exciting going on.
I had a dream about a big blue willy.
Yeah, which is funny that you haven't read Ice Planet Barbarians to trigger that memory.
Honestly, it was so weird. Not weird, but like just like I was like
wild.
It's really blue, like not just like a little tinge blue. It was really blue. But only half of it, only the underneath was blue. The top of it was black.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
It was massive.
Cool. Cool.
Really big, like scarily big, actually. I was like, glad I woke up from that dream.
Do you think it should make your brain telling you that you should write this?
Yeah, maybe. Does anyone want a book about a half black, half blue penis? Let me know. Bethan will write it.
I'm not writing it in. No. You could write it under like a pseudo pen name.
Maybe. So the real reason we're here.
Oh, do you know what? Like, I know we said last week we were cooking, and we were cooking, but there's still not that big of a book. I still felt like we weren't hitting the big boys until Empire of Storms, but when I picked this up, I was like, I underestimated you, Queen of Shadows.
Yeah. I underestimated how much happens in Heir of Fire, Queen of Shadows, even Crown of Midnight.
Yeah.
I think, because I think when you read a series back to back to back to back, it all sort of blurs together. You couldn't differentiate, like one, obviously like the last book to the first book, you could differentiate.
Yeah.
The middle is sort of like, it could be any of those three books. So like, I was shocked for how much happens in Queen of Shadows.
Yeah, 100%. I really, if you'd have said to me prior to reading it, where does Queen of Shadows end? I probably would have said after saving Aegon. In my head, that was really all I probably could have like remembered.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It is wild. And I think we said it either last week or the week before, like Sarah's got some big balls to introduce characters, like 4 books in. She introduces characters in Queen of Shadows, and I'm like, fucking hell, Sarah. Like, you were swinging your dick everywhere because...
Yeah, so Nesrin?
Yes. Well, we sort of got her in the last book, but not...
Not as much.
Yeah. We get Evangeline.
Yes. Lysandra's back.
Yes.
Which I know we've had Lysandra, but, you know.
We get a lot more of the witches.
Yeah, a lot more. A lead.
Yeah, we get a lot more lead. She's just obviously been mentioned before, hasn't she?
Yeah, I don't think we actually get scenes involved
like
in
as
her.
Marianne's daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, so still bringing in, and big hitters, not like little nobody characters. She's still bringing in big, because the lead has POV chapters.
Yeah, and further on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, we're...
And Nesrin does.
Yeah. This, when you look back, when you finish Kingdom of Ash and you look back, the character pool, like, if somebody said, I'll pay you £100 to name every character, I'd be like, keep your money, because I have a fucking clue.
No
like,
chance.
I can name, like, obviously the mains, but...
I think as well what I forget is, obviously I remember that it's all multiple POVs, but what I find is just so genius of Sarah is how the whole story has so much continuity, but every chapter is from somebody else's POV pretty much.
POVs change mid-chapter. She has the little, swirl, and then it's somebody else. And still it flows. And yeah, class.
She works hard for that coin, I'll give her that, when it came to Throne of Glass.
Yeah. There's a reason I fucking love this series so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get Evangeline, who is like Lysandra's ward.
Yeah, basically.
For better word. And Lysandra goes to Aelin to warn her about Arabin. And Aelin is understandably very standoffish.
Yeah.
She's like, you're still working for Clarice. You should have enough money to pay her off. And she was just like, I'm really suspicious of you.
Yeah.
And then Lysandra goes back to the carriage, and Evangeline lingers on the doorstep, and she says to Aelin, she gestures to her scarred face, she did this to me, meaning Lysandra. And Aelin's internal monologue is, it's an effort to keep seated, to keep from leaping down the stairs to slit Lysandra's throat.
Yeah.
And then Evangeline says, I cried when my mother sold me to Clarice, cried and cried, and I think Lysandra had annoyed the mistress that day because they gave me to her as an acolyte, even though she was weeks away from paying her debts. That night, I was supposed to begin training, and I cried so hard I made myself sick. By Lysandra, she cleaned me up and told me that there was a way out, but it would hurt, and I would not be the same. I couldn't run because she had tried running a few times when she was my age, and they had found her and beat her when no one could see. I said I'd do anything to get out of what the other girls had told me about, so she told me to trust her and then gave me these. She started shouting loud enough for the others to come running. They thought she cut me out of anger and said she'd done it to keep me from being a threat, and she let them believe it. Clarice was so mad that she beat Lysandra in the courtyard, but Lysandra didn't cry, not once, and when the healer said my face couldn't be fixed, Clarice made Lysandra buy me for the amount I would have cost if I had been a full courtesan like her. That's why she's still working for Clarice, why she's still not free and won't be for a while. I thought you should know.
Oof.
And Evangeline's like what, like
11?
8? Like,
like
9?
old,
like she's little, isn't she?
Yeah.
That's a big old speech from somebody so little.
Yeah.
And the punch it gives.
Yeah.
Like when you think, oh, okay, maybe Lysandra isn't a knobhead.
Because obviously we're doing the romantic read, so we did AB first. Like, up until this point, I still fucking hated Lysandra. Up until this book, still didn't like Lysandra. Was not a fan. I was actually shocked to see her come back. I really didn't think, not in a mean way, but I didn't think she was like enough of a character with substance that would appear again.
Well, obviously we read AB first, so we had her in Assassin's Blade, but then we did Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, and Heir of Fire. So by this point, I fucking forgot about her, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, Lysandra who? I'm like, she's so like far out of my mind now. So then for her to come back, like you said, like, oh wow. But then for like this story, for her to have this sort of storyline with like a ward in Evangeline, very interesting.
Very, very interesting. Yeah.
But she is like the go-between then between Arobynn and Aelin, because Arobynn's going to help Aelin break Aegon out. And that breakout...
It's one of my top 5 seasons of Throne of Glass.
It's class.
When they smash the like
red flowers,
I've
got
floor.
By here.
Oh.
It wasn't just the glass flowers that had been rigged with a reactive powder, quietly purchased by Aelin at the Shadow Market. Every bit of sparkling dust the dancers had tossed around had been full of it, and it was worth every damned silver she'd spent as smoke erupted through the room, igniting the powder they'd been scattering everywhere. The smoke was so thick she could barely see more than a foot ahead, and blended perfectly with the grey cloak that had doubled as the skirt of her costume, just as Arobynn had suggested.
I'm sure I should have pulled the quote and I haven't got this one, but I vaguely remember it, where she says, like, I think she looks at Aegon, and I don't think Aegon necessarily clocks it as her, but it says that, like, she looked at him and smiled, and then the room exploded, and I just...
Well, she's like a simpering little understudy in the queue to get in, because she can see the word marks.
Yeah.
She asks for water. She spills the water all over the word mark so that she can get into the castle. Then she whips her skirt off, turns it into a cloak, and she pretends to be a man. And she's staggering around drunk, knocking into people to get close to Aegon. And then when all that erupts, obviously she makes the run
to get him. Wild.
Yeah.
And then the scene in the gardens that follows that, where Dorian attacks, and then Aelin's like, she's like, she says, give me something, give me anything to show that you're still in there, and there's nothing. But obviously his internal monologue is like, he's screaming, but he can't. And she's about to do it, and Nesrin fires the arrow, and that's...
Nesrin, who never misses, fires the arrow and misses. So she doesn't want to hurt Aelin. It's like a warning shot.
Exactly. Yeah. That whole
oh my God.
scene...
Edge of your seat,
wild. Like to think, and I always think like these little things. It's very, it mirrors very much that scene in AB where Celaena purposefully misses Ansel.
Yes.
But like we said in that scene, and we're not going to get to that yet, but we always say it, the butterfly effect this series has. Like, had Nesrin not fired that arrow, she left it a second too late, Dorian would be a goner.
Yeah.
Aelin would have killed him. Not in a, but because she knows it's for the better.
Yeah.
Because they've got an unbelievably powerful person under their thrall. And she knows that, like, obviously... We do get at the end of this, Dorian gets out of the collar.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like he's going to. So she almost is like, I'll put you out of your misery.
Yeah.
Like, let me just fucking end. And to be honest, like, he's probably not mad at that point either.
No.
Because that's Chaol's whole thing. I know we're jumping. But when they go to the clearing, you know, where they meet the witches and they intervene on that caravan, like, Chaol's going to kill Dorian. Chaol's prepared to do it because he's like, I'd rather just kill him.
And I'd rather it be me.
Exactly. It's fucking wild.
It's wild. I've got such a interesting
go on.
quote. This is after the rescue.
Yeah.
Lysandra glanced behind her to the bedroom where Aegon now lay unconscious and loosed a long breath. The resemblance is uncanny. Gods, the fact that you went undiscovered for so many years boggles the mind. She studied Aegon again. Even though he's a handsome bastard, it would be like kissing you. Her eyes were still hard, but a flicker of amusement gleamed there. Aelin grimaced. I could have lived without knowing that. Interesting. I forgot this. I really, really forgot this. A lead having witch blood.
Do you know what? I did and I didn't. I did and I didn't. I can't say too much on this without, like, not spoiling, but like commenting on further books. But Yeah.
When I was like, fuck, I forgot about that. But I've got by here, she had a feeling Manon might hope for that. It was not just a risk, it was a suicidal, stupid risk, but better than nothing. The witches who lowered their eyes for no man until she could get away, perhaps she might learn a thing or two about what it was like to have fangs and claws and how to use them. Blue, she whispered. My blood runs blue. Good choice, Witchlin, Manon said, and the word was a challenge and an order. She turned away but glanced over her shoulder. Welcome to the Blackbeaks. Witchlin. A lead stared after her. She had likely just made the biggest mistake of her life, but it was strange. Strange, that feeling of belonging.
Oh, I've got shivers.
Oh, her Uncle Vernon is such a ding cunt.
Number 8?
9.
9, wow.
Her Uncle Vernon is a cunt.
I'm going to put a 10 on there. So is Duke Parrington. We've said this, but like, this is, obviously we couldn't speak about it in the earlier books, but like, this is where we start really cooking with the Duke Parrington being a cunt.
Duke Parrington, Erewhon.
Do we find that out in it? Oh, we do we? I couldn't remember. You know when you're like, am I gaslighting myself?
I've got a quote about it somewhere, but fuck me, they are fucking horrible bastards.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But not that it doesn't justify it with Duke Parrington, but at least with Duke Parrington, like, he's a fucking Valg, right? But like,
he's a Valg king.
Yeah. Like, I'm not saying it makes it okay, but he's got a reason. But
it's not him.
Vernon's just a cunt.
Yeah.
Like, he's got nothing in him.
Oh, I just feel so sorry for Sydney's change. She can't fucking walk anyway, and you've chained her up. Like, what's the fucking point? She ain't running, is she? Like,
do you know of everyone? Oh, this is a hot take.
Oh,
this is a hot take, right? But I do believe it. Please don't come for me, the internet, if you clip this, because, well, even if it's in the episode, please don't come for me. But I believe this on my chest. Of everyone in the Throne of Glass world, a lead, I feel, is one of the biggest is one of the characters that has every right to be a villain.
Oh my god, yeah. She was locked in a tower as a child. She had her feet broken and they wouldn't set them properly just to sort of keep her on a leash.
Yeah.
Her mother died and never told her that she had witch blood.
Mm-hmm.
And then her fucking stinking uncle's dragging her up.
Yeah. Well, and also her mother died protecting Aelin, which is her whole family serve that bloodline. Like, that's what they're there to serve. All her family sacrificed themselves for Aelin and her mum and dad, and they've just been gone, and that was it. And it was like, what was the point, And then she hears these murmurings as she's back.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even begin to imagine what that must have been like.
Poor lead. She's been dealt a really fucking rough hand.
Yeah, 100%.
We get this on TikTok a lot, this quote. The male emerged from the fog, tall, maybe taller than Aegon himself, if only by an inch, powerfully built and heavily armed, both above and beneath his pale grey surcoat and hood. Aelin took a step forward, one step as if in a daze. She loosed a shuddering breath and a small whimpering noise came out of her, a sob, and then she was sprinting down the alley, flying as though the winds themselves pushed at her heels. She flung herself on the male, crashing into him hard enough that anyone else might have gone rocking back into the stone wall. But the male grabbed her to him, his massive arms wrapping around her tightly and lifting her up. Nesrin made to approach, but Aegon stopped her with a hand on her arm. Aelin was laughing as she cried, and the male was just holding her, his hooded head buried in her neck, as if he were breathing her in. Who is that? Nesrin asked. Aegon smiled. Rowan.
Aww. He also cuts his hair, which is a big fucking hard smash.
Hang on. Your hair, you cut it all off. She pulled off her own hood as she crossed the distance between them. Indeed, the long silver white hair was now cropped short. It made him look younger, made his tattoo stand out more. And fine, it made him more handsome too. Or maybe that was just her missing him. Since you seem to think that we would be doing a good amount of fighting here, shorter hair is more useful, though I can't say that your hair might be considered the same. You might as well have dyed it blue. Hush, your hair was so pretty. I was hoping you'd let me braid it one day. I suppose I'll have to buy a pony instead. She cocked her head. When you shift, will your hawk form be plucked then?
I don't remember that. That's so funny. She's fucking hilarious.
Oh, she's so funny.
I love that.
And then he goes on, he's looking through her bedroom and he said, you weren't lying about your taste for luxury. She says, not all of us enjoy living in warrior squalor. Will your hawk form be plucked? Oh my God.
Stunning.
When I read that, I literally laughed out loud. I was like, oh, Aelin, you just don't give a shit.
No, she's so funny. She's
just like anything that comes into her mind is just like straight out of her mouth.
Yeah, I love it.
Fucking brilliant. But yeah, so we get Rowan in Ardalan with no magic.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
And he's hot as fuck.
Yeah. Still not for me.
No, but some of the character art of his short hair.
Yeah. Yeah.
When it's like sort of like not spiked up, but it's like sort of like
floppy. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Hard smash.
Oof, hard smash.
Can we continue on the topic of like memorable quotes in this book? Because there's a fucking shit ton of them.
Yeah.
I'll bleed whatever colour you want me to.
I've got the whole fucking passage in here somewhere.
We have the whole chapter. So sit down, guys.
Yeah. Get ready for it.
Yeah, wild.
Stunning.
Wild scenes.
Oh, so we get... This is one of my favourite revelations. Obviously, Aedion and Rowan now are like dick swinging.
Which
like,
I love it so much.
Same, so much.
I love it.
And Aelin says, if you're going to have a pissing contest, can you at least do it on the roof? And Aedion says, she says we're no better than dogs, so I wouldn't be surprised if she actually believes we'd piss on her furniture. Rowan didn't smile, though, as he tilted his head to the side and sniffed. Aedion needs a bath too, I know, she said. He insisted on smoking a pipe at the tap room. He said it gave him an air of dignity. Rowan's head was still angled as he asked, your mothers were cousins, Prince, but who sired you? Aedion lounged in his chair. Does it matter? Do you know? Rowan pressed. Aedion shrugged. She never told me, or anyone. I'm guessing you have some idea, Aelin asked. Rowan said, he doesn't look familiar to you? He looks like me. Yes, but, he sighed, you met his father a few weeks ago, Gabriel.
Rowan just comes out and says shit.
He's not like, should I be wary of his feelings or how he might feel that I know who his father is? He's just like, he doesn't even say like, do you want to know?
And this is what in my brain, I thought he only tells Aelin first and then it's a while before Aedion finds out. But no, he just fucking comes out with it from the get-go.
Even if he said to Aelin, look, I know who Aedion's dad is, like, what do you think I should do? Should I tell him? But he's just not got that like level of like emotional intelligence to think like, should I talk it through with somebody first? Should I ask him if he even wants to know?
Yeah.
He's just like, I know your dad
and
is.
Do you know what he does it with? Lysandra. When are you going to tell everybody they're a shapeshifter?
Yeah, I've got that in here as well. It's fucking
he just
brilliant.
Like, honestly, like people, there's a lot of fan art between him, like people do together of him and the Surreal.
Ooh.
Because people are like, they're just dropping fucking hot T-bombs left, right and centre.
Yeah, but and obviously, Aedion knows who Gabriel is because he's heard all the war stories. And he's like, oh my God, he's the Lion of Doranel. My father is the Lion of...
Full-blooded fae, Daddy Gabriel.
And he's like, what the fuck? Like, what do I do with this information?
Do you know what makes me sad? I'm sure, if this isn't in this book, and this isn't like a spoiler that I'm saying this, but I'm sure Aedion says, if not in this book, but in another book, that the Cadre were the type of people that he would like as a little boy. You know when little boys are learning about like superhero and all, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like looking up to superheroes and Marvel, like that's what they were to him. As like a young fae boy living in court, like one day would he become one of the Cadre? Like would he serve like Maeve? Like it's such an honor. So they are like literally celebrities.
Yeah.
And what breaks my heart is imagine if he'd have known that was his dad. Imagine how like proud he would have been growing up as a little fae boy who like just is a bastard, like doesn't really think he's much of anything. His only purpose was to serve Aelin. In his eyes he fails because she dies. Imagine knowing if he didn't know that his dad was Gabriel. Sorry, I didn't mean to make you cry with that, but how sad is that? I remember reading it and thinking like that's so fucking sad. He never got to know. Imagine how much little Aedion needed that more than big Aedion did.
Little Aedion.
It's really sad, isn't it?
Not only does Rowan sucker punch him with his dad,
I love it.
He then says to Aelin, well, I'm blood sworn to you, so obviously I'm going to listen to you. And Aedion's like, what did he just say?
Yeah. This
Rowan,
is rough.
Yeah. Rowan had taken the blood oath to Aelin, his blood oath. Aelin squared her shoulders and said clearly, steadily, Rowan took the blood oath to me before I left Wendelin. A roaring sound went through him. You let him do what? Aelin exposed her scarred palms. As far as I knew, Aedion, you were loyally serving the king. As far as I knew, I was never going to see you again. You let him take the blood oath to you, Aedion bellowed. She had lied to his face that day on the roof. He had to get out of his skin, out of this apartment, out of this goddamn city. Aedion lunged for one of the porcelain figurines atop the hearth mantle, needing to shatter something to get that roaring out of his system. She flung out a vicious finger, advancing on him. You break one thing, you shatter just one of my possessions, and I will shove the shards down your rotting throat. A command from a queen to her general. Aedion spat on the floor, but obeyed, if only because ignoring that command might very well shatter something far more precious. He instead said, How dare you? How dare you let him take it? I dare because it is my blood to give away. I dare because you did not exist for me then. Even if neither of you had taken it, I would still have given it to him because he is my Caranam, and he has earned my unquestioning loyalty. Aedion went rigid. And what about our unquestioning loyalty? What have you done to earn that? What have you done to save our people since you've returned? Were you ever going to tell me about the blood oath, or was that just another of your many lies?
It's really rough, right?
It is.
The thing is, I see it, I do understand. Like, when Aelin speaks then, you're like, I get it. She had no idea that Aedion was still loyal.
Yeah.
Like, she knew nothing about him. He's a stranger to her, like, within reason.
Yeah, he's a general in the king's army.
And has been for the last, 10 years. Like, what the fuck was she supposed to think? I get it. I do get it. But do you know what I love about that scene is how fucking Aelin and Aedion are the same person.
Oh my god, yeah.
And I
fly off the handles so fucking quickly.
And their interactions like that is gold. I could read pages of
him
it.
Spitting on the floor.
So funny.
And what's funny, I haven't got it here, but what's funny is they're having this, and Rowan is just leaning back in a dining chair, just watching the sparring match. Like, he does go in on him, and he's like, don't you ever fucking speak to her like that again. And that comes later, but he's just watching them go back and forth, and he's like, oh, it's not my fight to leave it to her.
I'll start it, but then I'll just sit back and watch.
I got a blood oath. Bye.
Yeah, it's so funny. Honestly, just a fucking delight. Like, I just love it. Who's saying I'll shove the shards down your throat is just
your
queen.
Rotting throat.
Yeah, it's just class, isn't it?
Fucking brilliant.
This is why, like, again, not to jump ahead, but Aedion is a really polarizing character in this series. Very much a Chaol, I feel.
Oh yeah, a lot of people do not like him, and he is. I've got some quotes where he is a fucking bastard.
He is, but this is where I stand my ground: is that he's as much of a bastard as Aelin is.
Yeah.
But because Aelin is our FMC and our main character, I'm not saying, like, I still love both of them. But I think if Aedion was our main character, people would love him just as much. It's only because you see his bad side through somebody else's eyes. Because Aelin does some questionable things, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. So a lot of this book is centered around the Valg being in the sewers.
Yes.
And we get a lot of chapters in the sewers and about the Valg. Yeah. And Aelin is like trailing around the city at night, and it's really hard for us to understand what's happening because we're just seeing her pop down grates, pop up different grates, walk another street, go down. And, like, it's quite confusing for the reader. And then this is the end of the chapter. It took only a minute before near-silent boots scraped on stone below, and a figure moved past the ladder, heading to where she'd left the cape, tracking her as he'd done all night, as she'd let him do all night. And when Lorcan walked straight into that den of Val commanders and the word hounds that had come to retrieve their reports, when the clash of weapons and roar of dying filled her ears, Aelin merely sauntered down the street, whistling to herself. Aelin was striding down an alley 3 blocks from the warehouse when a force akin to a stone wall slammed her face first into the side of a brick building. You little bitch, Lorcan snarled in her ear.
I love it so much.
It's fucking hilarious.
So funny. Oh, she's so funny. Like Lorcan how are we saying it?
Salvatore.
Salvatore, the most feared Fae warrior in all of the world. Like Maeve's #1 warrior. And she's like tricking him like a little mouse following a bit of cheese. And then it comes to like a dead end and it's like all the Val getting this.
And the word hound.
Yeah, so funny. But what's funny is like, she knew they wouldn't kill him. She knew that wouldn't be how he met his demise, but she just did it out of annoyance and he'd have to fight and have to kill them. So she knew I think she knew he was coming. There was no way like she thought he would like die doing that.
No.
But just so funny that like, that she's just whistling down the street. Like, I just love that.
Yeah.
She's hilarious.
We get a really, really interesting like dialogue then between Aelin and Lorcan, and we haven't heard Lorcan speak that much,
not much
up
at all,
until
no.
this point. Like he's had like a line or 2
words, literally.
Lorcan laughed. You think you beat Maeve? She allowed you to walk out of Doranel, both of you. Aelin yawned. Honestly, Rowan, I don't know how you put up with him for so many years. 5 minutes and I'm bored to tears. Watch yourself, girl, Lorcan said. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not in a week, but someday you will trip up and I'll be waiting. Really, you Fae males and your dramatic speeches. She turned to walk away, a move she could only make because of the prince standing between them. But she looked back over her shoulder, dropping all pretense of amusement, of boredom. Let that killing calm rise close enough to the surface that she knew there was nothing human in her eyes, as she said to Lorcan, I will never forget, not for one moment, what you did to him that day in Doranel. Your miserable existence is at the bottom of my priority list. But one day, Lorcan, she smiled a little, one day I'll come to claim that debt too. Consider tonight a warning. Because obviously Lorcan was the one to whip Rowan in Doranel.
Yep.
And Aelin doesn't fucking forget a thing. And we see that, and you see it a lot more in Kingdom of Ash. Aelin doesn't fucking forget anything. One sentence said to her, if you gave her a copper, like, she's going to fucking remember everything.
And the people around her. Like, you look at somebody she loves the wrong way once, game over. Yeah. It might take 2 months, but
she'll come back for you.
Game over. Yeah.
She'll use you until she doesn't need you anymore.
And then game over.
And then bye-bye.
I was going to say something about Lorcan, but I'm going to keep my mouth shut. But just, he's not a vibe.
Yeah.
At this moment in time.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
But Aelin, like, everything that fucking comes out of her mouth is just gold. And her saying to Rowan, 5 minutes and I'm bored to tears.
So, I know.
She just don't give a fuck.
No, she doesn't.
He's like fucking, 7 foot?
Literally, huge. He's the biggest SJM male, height-wise.
And she's like, you're boring me to fucking tears.
Okay. Yeah, Crimea River.
Shut up.
Yeah.
You and your fucking speeches.
Yeah,
like, she don't give a shit.
She doesn't give a shit.
We've already talked about this, but I'll just read it anyway because I've got it. It's my next quote. So it's Lysandra talking to Rowan. I like your fangs, she said sweetly.
God about that.
Aelin choked on her grape. Of course, Lysandra did. Rowan gave a little grin that usually sent Aelin running. Are you studying them so you can replicate them when you take my form, shapeshifter? Aelin's fork froze in midair. Bullshit, Adian said. All amusement had vanished from the courtesan's face. Shapeshifter. Holy gods, what was fire magic or wind and ice compared to shapeshifting? Shifters, spies and thieves and assassins able to demand any price for their services. The bane of courts across the world, so feared that they'd been hunted nearly to extinction even before Ardalan had banned magic. Lysandra picked up a grape, examined it, and then flicked her eyes to Rowan. Perhaps I'm just studying you to know where to sink my fangs if I ever get my gifts back. Rowan laughed. It explained so much. You and I are nothing but beasts wearing human skins. That's a quote that Lysandra had said to Aelin previously.
Yep. When I read this for the first time, I was fucking gagged. Gagged. Again, Rowan just dropping the little truth bombs.
He's just like,
there you go.
And then it's Aelin and Adion that are fucking like doors on the floor, and Rowan's just sitting back, like letting things play out. Like, let's see how. Just put that in and see what happens.
Let's just watch. Yeah. I know. It's wild,
like he's experimenting, like just throwing something in and seeing what happens.
And I think this is where it shocked me even more, because even though Lysandra's reintroduced into this book, I still didn't think she'd be a big player.
Yeah.
I thought she might like be a bit involved in the plot in Ardal and now we're back again. But like, I really didn't see her as a long-term player. But then as soon as I found out this, I was like, oh shit, like she's in this for the fucking long
Someone's
run.
come to play.
Yes.
And she's really worried about what Aelin's response is going to be. And she's like, oh, I was scared to tell you. And Aelin's like, I didn't tell you I was the Queen of Terrasen.
Yeah,
like,
so don't worry, babe.
We're all right.
We're both hiding some things,
She was like, it's taken me a minute to process it, but it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, she's like so cool with it.
Yeah.
Whereas Aelin's like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And they do, up until this point, the phase that meet her, like, say about her scent, like that they can't get a read on her. It's a mixture of scents.
Okay.
Like, it's like a mixture of everything.
Okay.
So it's almost been hinted, not that I would have picked up on her. I didn't fucking know she was the Queen of Terrasen. Do you know what I mean?
She might as well have had Aelin tattooed on her forehead, and Sam was like,
wonder who this Aelin is. But that was another revelation that I was like, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, we might cry.
Probably.
Okay, but we'll just get through it.
Okay.
Don't want to cock this one up. Hello, Sam, she breathed onto the river breeze. She said nothing for a time, content to be near him, even in this form. The sun warmed her hair, a kiss of heat along her scalp, a trace of mala, perhaps even here. She began talking quietly and succinctly, telling Sam about what had happened to her 10 years ago, telling him about these past 9 months. When she was done, she stared up at the oak leaves rustling overhead and dragged her fingers through the soft grass. I miss you, she said. Every day I miss you. And I wonder what you would have made of all this. Made of me. I think you would have made a wonderful king. I think they would have liked you more than me, actually. I never told you how I felt, but I loved you, and I think a part of me might always love you. Maybe you were my mate and I never knew it. Maybe I'll spend the rest of my life wondering about that. Maybe I'll see you again in the afterworld and then I'll know for sure. But until then I'll miss you and I'll wish you were here.
Yeah, I see. You would have made a good king.
Until then I'll miss you.
I think a part of me will always love you.
Oh. I'll spend the rest of my life wondering about that.
Why should read Assassin's Blade first? Because I just don't feel like that hits the way it should hit. Yeah.
And that's the first time she's been to his grave ever.
Yeah, she's never seen it before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it says it somewhere, I don't have it. Arabin had put him in an unmarked grave.
Oh, yeah.
And Wesley went back and chiseled his name into it.
Yeah.
Also, we haven't talked about this and I don't have any quotes about it. We find out that Lysandra had a relationship with Wesley.
Yeah, they were in love. Yeah.
And Arabin fucking killed him.
Well, and that's what Lysandra comes to Aelin with, is the letter that Wesley had left because he gets killed.
Do you know, I wish with all my fucking heart that we had the content of that letter.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we could see
what did it say,
because she burns it, obviously.
Yeah, she just doesn't say.
She says, like, I read it until I memorised it and burnt it. I'd love to know
what it said.
Oh, I'd love to know.
Yeah, and Arabin kills him as well.
My next quote is the first time we see any sort of like anger from a lead. I feel like up until this point she's just been like really neutral.
Yeah.
Like this is the hand I've been dealt and I'm just gonna fucking live and like hate my life. And this is the first time we see any sort of anger from her. Did you know how many times? What? Asterin breathed. Did you know? A lead said, her voice uneven with rage or fear. How many times they were each to be implanted with offspring before they were let go of. Everything went quiet in Manon's head. Go on. Elid's face was white as death, making her freckles look like dried, splattered blood. From what I saw, they've delivered at least one baby each and are already about to give birth to another. That's impossible, Sorel said. The witchlings, Asterin breathed. Aelin really did vomit again this time. When she was done, Manon mastered herself enough to say, "Tell me about the witchlings." "They are not witchlings. They are not babies," Aelin spat, covering her face with her hands as if to rip out her eyes. "They are creatures. They are demons. Their skin is like black diamond, and they have these snouts with teeth, fangs. Already they have fangs, and not like yours." She lowered her hands. "They have teeth of black stone. There is nothing of you in them."
Oh,
Aelin is fucking mad at that point.
Yeah.
Like, she is like, "You fucking made me go in there. It's fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
What they're doing is disgusting, and you gave those witches
you had to give witches over. Yeah, it's fucking wild, isn't it?
It's horrible.
That whole subplot is fucking wild.
Oh, the fucking quotes I've got from Morath further on.
And do you know what I find? You don't really get like that little bit of description from a lead, but you never actually come face. This is a spoiler, but you don't ever come face to face with one of those babies, whatever the fuck.
Well, they're all
are.
Killed at the end, aren't they?
But it's just so
monster. What I don't know what you would call it.
Well, like they're not Val, but yeah, like a
demons.
Yeah, literally, it's fucking wild,
horrible.
And again, I find this another really interesting thing about Sarah's writing is that Manon and the 13 are, I don't know if heroine is the word, but like they kind of are heroines in this story to a capacity and in this whole story, but they do a lot of really questionable things. And
when they torch that village,
yep, oh, fuck.
And then he says like, right, good, because obviously she's carrying Celaena.
Yeah.
Celaena is using her shadow fire.
Yeah.
She sputters out.
Yeah.
And he's like, right, go and land then and kill everybody that isn't dead. And Manon lands Abraxas, goes in, and she's not happy about it.
No.
You start to see a difference in Manon from then on.
Yeah.
She's questioning everything they're making her do, and you see a bit more remorse from her.
Yeah.
But they are fucking brutal.
Yeah. The reality is when Manon was asked to give over names, she didn't feel good about it, right? And she wasn't going to give over like the 13th, was she? Let's be honest. But she still does it. She still gives over names.
But they did volunteer.
Yeah,
they said like it would be an honor to serve, and
yeah,
so
no. But you know, if I was thinking from like an Aelin perspective or another FMC, they would do everything they could for that to not happen.
Yeah,
but Manon does kind of allow it to happen.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying she was wrong. Like she obviously regrets it, but like that's what I think is so interesting about the way she writes these characters. Is like you have some main characters who are, I don't know, good. You know what I mean? But like they do some really bad things. But that's why the witches are my favorites, because they're really morally grey.
Yeah, they're really towing the line of whether they're good or evil.
Yeah.
But obviously Asterin does sort of
speak up. But they demote her. Yeah, they demote her.
She gets demoted to second, and she keeps questioning. She gets demoted to third.
Yeah.
She's like, right, fuck off. I don't care if you're my cousin. Like, you're out. Like, tough luck.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mad.
I'm Brooke. I'm Cammie, and we do Throne of Glass deep dives over at Bookish Realms Pod.
This next one is a little hard, but I'll give you a hint if you need to. So this one is for Queen of Shadows. So what is sat atop these pillows in this secret room of the castle in Otterland?
What is sat atop the pillows in the secret room in the castle in
I'll give you a little hint. We get this from a POV from when the Valg is inside of Dorian. So it's like one of those quick little chapters.
A word key?
That's a good guess, but not.
That's a really good guess.
That's a really good guess, but it's not a word key. There's multiple of them.
Oh, Sam, we are so shite at this. It's not even. I'm gonna have my tattoos lasered off. What?
Do you want another hint?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, so think about like what the King of Otterland stands for. Like, what is he trying to do?
Get rid of magic. Get rid of the Fae. Get rid of. bringing the bug?
Yeah.
Does he have like someone's hands or someone's head? Ears. Fake ears. Chopped off fake ears.
That's a good guess, but
it's not any of them.
It's not any of those.
God, why are we so stupid, Sam?
No, this was the hard one that I was telling you earlier where Cammy was like, I don't remember. Do you want me to tell you?
Sure, yeah, we're not getting anywhere with this.
Okay, this one was hard, but it sat atop the little pillows is crowns of all the conquered kingdoms that like Adonai has conquered.
I don't not that I remember much, but I do not remember that.
Yeah, it's like this secret little room, and they like it's from a POV chapter from the Valg and Dorian, and the Valg like takes him down there, and he's like, do you see all of these crowns? Like these aren't the only crowns, like we're hoping to conquer them from other realms, which tune into our Masterverse of Queen of Shadows when we get there. So we will talk about that.
Yeah, it was spooky. Like when she was telling me about it, I was like, I don't remember that, and like it's so weird. I feel like it's
that's a big ick.
Yeah.
It's not quite as bad as Fate Ears, but it's pretty icky.
Well, who is it in Akatar that has like wings pinned up for a while? Like that, I feel like that gives the same energy.
Tamlin, isn't it him and his dad or whatever? They have him in like the office or something like that.
Have you guys read Crescent City?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't they have hunts, right? Up on the wall of the asteroid have hunt swings up on the wall of
Yeah.
Ugh.
Stuff like that like makes my stomach turn. Like, the visual of it and just like the symbolism of it like hurts my bone.
Because doesn't Tamlin's father have Reese's sister and mother, right?
Yeah, it's somebody to do with Reese, isn't it?
Nasty fucker.
I'm not in line with like a Tamlin redemption arc. Like I know he had his struggles, but like there's things that I just can't forgive.
Can't get past some of the shit he says and does. It's like, come on, sir. Some people don't need a redemption. Not everybody needs a redemption, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't think I'm on board with it. But I am a little bit on board with the Reese Tamlin crack ship theory, though. I'm not gonna lie.
That they were lovers.
That they like such an enemies. Like that's I love that. Like think of how much hate is behind that. I love it.
I could see that.
There are moments where it's like, okay, like come on, why do you have so many deep emotions about this? Doesn't someone like keep the Illyrian blades too? Like he uses them still? Like I thought you had beef with him. I thought you guys hated each other.
His like bandolier of knives, I think she describes as being really sharp, but it's because they're Illyrian blades. Yeah, kind of low-key obsessed.
Well, it'll be a fun twist. I feel like there's so many like crazy. Oh, sorry. Can I cuss?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I'm like, wait, this isn't our pod. I need to make sure that it's for mature audiences only before I start dropping F-bombs. But no, now I lost my train of thought. Never mind.
Yeah, sorry. We should have prefaced that at the beginning. You absolutely can swear 100%. Swear to your heart's content.
Thank you. I'll keep it a little PG around here, but like, don't be mad if I drop a couple.
I think for season 2, Sam, we agreed we're going to have a C-bomb jar, like a C-bomb jar, aren't we? So every time we drop a C-bomb, we have to put money in the jar to like keep it topped up.
Yeah, because we dropped it a lot in season 1.
We've been good recently, though. Yeah, I know.
I've got such an iconic quote here.
Okay.
Arobynn smiled blandly, unfazed. He'd calculated Aedion's hatred. With deliberate slowness, he turned to Rowan. You, I don't know, Arobynn mused, having to lift his head to see Rowan's face. He made a show of looking Rowan over. Been an age since I saw one of the Fae. I don't remember them being quite so large. Rowan moved deeper into the entry hall, every step laced with power and death, coming to a stop at her side. You can call me Rowan. That's all you need to know. He cocked his head to the side, a predator assessing prey. Thank you for the oil, he added. My skin was a little dry.
I iconic.
So fucking
Because
iconic.
him sending her that oil and saying you to it for tonight is such a fucking power move.
And it's his scent. The oil is his.
But Rowan's like, well, if you have to wear it, so will I.
Yeah.
And that'll fucking spoil his boner, won't it? That's a boner killer if he's looking at me.
Now you can think of me.
And I mean, I wouldn't be mad about that, but like Arryn evidently is.
Yeah.
Are we going to talk about this whole scene in Arryn in the keep?
Yeah, I've got more. So this is Aelin walking away from Arryn at the end of the night. Each step toward the door was an effort of will as she forced herself not to think about the thing thudding between her breasts. If you betray us tonight, Arryn, she added, pausing before the door, I'll make what was done to Sam seem like a mercy compared to what I do to you. Learned some new tricks these past few years, have you? She smirked, taking in the details of how he looked at this exact moment. The sheen of his red hair, his broad shoulders and narrow waist, the scars on his hands, and those silver eyes, so bright with challenge and triumph. They'd probably haunt her dreams until the day she died. One more thing, Arryn said. It was an effort to lift a brow as he came close enough to kiss her, embrace her, but he just took her hand in his thumb caressing her palm. I'm going to enjoy having you back, he purred. Then, faster than she could react, he slid the wordstone ring onto her finger.
When I read this for the first time, I was screaming.
I was gagged because then he's like, tell me you love me. And she says, I love you. Say my name. Tell me you love me. And she says, I love you, Arryn Hamill.
I was absolutely like, I remember like wanting to throw the book across the room.
Yeah, I was fuming. I was like, how the fuck has this happened now? Yeah. And I'm like, he's definitely having a wank to her saying, I love He's like, I love you, Arryn Hamill. That's on a loop in his head and he's like fucking hounding one out.
Yeah, in a world without porn, he's just making his own like fucking, literally. Yeah, he's pounding so many out to that. Yeah, gross. But I was honestly like, remember reading it being like, I can't believe Aelin's been outwitted.
I know. I was like, she's so calculated. She thinks of everything.
And this early on in the game, like we're only just over halfway. Like there's no way. And I was so fucking glad when she's not. I was so glad when you find out that she'd swapped out the Valg rings on purpose.
Yeah. So then they've got. She goes back with them then.
Yeah.
And Rowan and Aedion are just staring at her. Aelin, Aedion said, his voice hoarse. Aelin lifted her hands in front of her and turned. She pulled off the ring. So that was what he wanted. I honestly expected something grander.
So funny.
Because obviously they take him a Valg, but they put a fake ring on one hand.
Yeah.
And then she talks to the Valg and she gets him to lie and say like, oh, they've got to taste your blood for the back, and like he just says, if you kill me afterwards, I'll say whatever you want. Like just the things I've done with this demon inside me, I want out. I don't want to live.
Yeah.
So he lies to when he's speaking to Arryn.
Yeah.
Says everything Aelin wants him to say, and then he gets his death that he wants, and Aelin gets exactly what she wants because Arryn thinks he's got a ring.
Yeah. He doesn't. He has nothing, and he gives her the amulet of Orinth.
Yes,
which is obviously the word key. That was the agreement.
Yeah, that's all she wanted, wasn't it?
So Arryn didn't know what he had.
No,
which is really surprising. Well,
he just thinks that she wants her heirloom back.
Yeah, family token.
Yeah, she's like, this is all I've got left of my family, and he is quite sentimental. So he kept it all this time, so he must have known like it's sentimental. So I think he just thought like she is being sentimental. Yeah. But same chapter.
Yeah.
Later on. Lysandra slid her hand beneath the pillow as she sidled up to Arryn, nestling against him. He didn't stir. His breathing remained deep and steady. He'd never had trouble sleeping. The night he'd killed Wesley, he slept like the dead, unaware of the moments when even her iron will couldn't stop the silent tears from falling. She would find that love again one day. And it would be deep and unrelenting and unexpected, the beginning and the end and eternity, the kind that could change history, change the world. The hilt of the stiletto was cool in her hand, and as Lysandra rolled back over, no more than a restless sleeper, she pulled it with her. Lightning gleamed on the blade, a flick of quicksilver. For Wesley, for Sam, for Aelin, and for herself, for for the child she'd been, for the 17-year-old on her bidding night, for the woman she'd become, her heart in shreds, her invisible wound still bleeding. It was so very easy to sit up and slice the knife across Arobyn's throat. Do you know, part of me, in recollection, thought that Aelin went back and killed him.
No.
I forgot that she
chops his head off, but she doesn't kill him.
Yeah.
She does that as a just in case. But no, it's Lysandra, yeah.
I totally forgot that it was Lysandra. Yeah, because she asks to go and see the body, didn't she?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't realise how fucking big this chapter was. It is my will, the master read, that the sole beneficiary of all my fortune, assets, and holdings should be my heir, Celaena Sardothien. Clarice whipped around in her chair, fast as an adder. What? Bullshit, Aedion blurted. Aelin just stared at the master, her mouth a bit open, her hands falling slack to her sides. Say that again, she breathed. The master gave a nervous, watery smile. Everything, all of it, is left to you. Well, except for this sum to Madame Clarice, to settle his debts. He showed Clarice the paper. That's impossible, the madam hissed. He promised I was in that will. And you are, Aelin drawled, pushing off the wall to peer over Clarice's shoulder at the small number. Don't get greedy now. Where are the duplicates? Tern demanded. Have you inspected them? He stormed around the table to examine the will. The master flinched but held up the parchment, signed by Arobyn and utterly legal. We verified the copies in our vaults this morning, all identical, all dated from 3 months ago, when she'd been in Wendelin. She stepped forward. So aside from that teensy sum for Clarice, all of this house, the guild, the other properties, his fortune, it's all mine? The master nodded again, already scrambling to pack up his case. Congratulations, Miss Sardothien. Slowly, she turned her head toward Clarice and Lysandra. Well, if that's the case, she bared her teeth in a vicious smile, get your whoring, blood-soaked carcasses the hell off my property.
And she's the one that switches the wills.
She did it all. She's going to the bank. When she was going to the bank all the time, I was like, what the fuck is this little subplot to do with? And then we find out afterwards.
She did it.
She went in the night, burnt all the originals, forged everything.
Switched them.
Yeah.
Yep. Stunning.
And then she makes the other assassins buy the guild back off her.
She says you've got like 3 hours to get the cash away here.
Yeah, you ain't coming in. This is my house. For 3 hours, this is mine. So fucking get out.
Yeah.
And she says, like, sit on the curb.
Yeah. Honestly.
She's so, like, when Aelin's got something in her head and she's doing something for her people, oh gosh.
Yeah.
Like, fuck everybody else. Like, she'll be a bitch to everybody as long as, you know, it serves her and her court.
Yeah. Do you know what I also think? I was thinking this when I read this. Another big thing the series really clever within the series is that Aelin gets lots of little wins that keeps you going, that you're like, I love her. Like, she's so sassy, she's so clever. Because if she was to get too many big achievements now, like of her end goal, right? It's like, well, everything's coming too easy for her. And we do comment that on, I'm not saying a lot of fantasy romance, but there are some books where and I still enjoy them, but I do feel like, oh, like they're all magical, they're all powerful, they snap their fingers and they can do this thing within a second. Aelin's end goal still takes her 8 books to achieve.
Yeah.
It's a long slog, but it's doing these little wins on the way that I think Sarah's really clever.
Yeah. But she's been to Endovia. She got sent to the Red Desert. Like, she hasn't had an easy time of it.
No.
Like, she was laying in her parents' blood. Like, like she hasn't had an easy life by any means.
But these little wins with, like, I know she doesn't kill Arobyn, but Arobyn being dead, taking all his will, outsmarting him with the Valg. It's just like these little things that, like, I feel like you get her as a character because that's ultimately what she's there for. She's like so intelligent and so clever, but you're still not almost like ruining the bigger plot by doing it too early. I just want to talk a little bit about Lysandra being the one that gets to kill him, because I'm sure after all this, Aelin is like, maybe it's in a monologue, and she's, I think, sat on the roof of her apartment, I can't remember, and she says like, she's really torn about the fact that Lysandra got to do it, because she's like, in one part of me, I'm so happy, but like, I'm glad that she did it because I think she deserved it and needed it. But on the other hand, there's a massive part of me that desperately wanted to do it as well. And she does say, but I'm glad it was one of us, because they were like, if it was going to be anyone, it was going to be Lysandra. I really respect Sarah for giving that win to Lysandra.
It would have been so easy to have like Lysandra leaves the window open and
like
Aelin creeps in.
Exactly. And I still would have eaten it up.
Oh, yeah,
I
would still loved it. But that would have been such an easy way to do it.
Yeah, and I think this is where it really adds to like the integrity of the cast of characters, because Aelin is our main character, but we always say about TOG, the cast is so robust, because I don't feel like you can comment at the side characters when you get characters like Lysandra who are literally killing. Up until this point, Arobynn was the big bad before we got into the whole like
Erewhon thing.
Like Arobyn's the big bad, and Lysandra gets that kill, not Aelin. She's just so clever, like, ugh.
And I think it definitely changes your perspective of Lysandra, because, you know, up until this point, she's been sort of like a simpering courtesan. Like, you know, like, she's can be harsh with her words, but we've never seen, like, any aggression from her.
And her in a monologue either, because what she says and what she thinks are two very different things. And I think she puts on as much of a bravado as Aelin does. She's just maybe a little less, I'm not saying it's clever, but she's a bit more, like, spiteful with it, if that makes sense. Whereas Aelin's a bit more cocky, but she says in it, that internal monologue you were just reading about her killing Arobynn, like, this is for the 17-year-old girl that he paid money to take her virginity with on the night she turned 17. But obviously, with the last time we saw her in Assassin's Blade, she's boasting about that fact. She's
Did you know I went for the most amount of money?
Yeah. But this is what I mean. Her characters are so robust. Like, there's so much. Yeah. Love it.
Amazing. And obviously we get more Lysandra, like, spoiler alert. But
one of my favourite characters.
I fucking love her so much.
Me too.
So they go to the catacombs under the Shadow Market.
Yes.
And there's an old ruined temple there, like the Temple of Truth.
Yeah.
And it's almost like people go to give their truths and then they're killed. So there's loads of bones down there. It's called like something of bone. But they find loads of word marks and stuff.
Yeah.
And we get a bit of subplot.
Yeah.
This is Gavin's confessional from his deathbed. They did not slay him. Not by sword or fire or water or might could Erewhon be slain or his body be destroyed. The eye contained him only for a short time. No, not contained, but put him to sleep. So they built him a sarcophagus of iron and some sort of indestructible stone, and they put it in a sealed tomb beneath a mountain, a crypt so dark that there was no air, no light. Upon the labyrinth of doors they put symbols, unbreakable by any key or thief or force. You're saying that they never killed Erewhon, Chaol said. Gavin had been Dorian's childhood hero, she recalled, and the story had been a lie. Eleanor had lied to her. Where did they bury him? Rowan asked softly. They buried him in the Black Mountains and built a keep atop the tomb so that the noble family who dwelled above might guard it forever. There are no Black Mountains in Ardalan. Aelin's mouth went dry. Rowan, she said quietly, how do you say Black Mountains in the old language? A pause and then a loosened breath. Morath, Rowan said. What are the odds that the king is sending his forces down to Morath by mere coincidence? What are the odds that our illustrious king has acquired a key that can unlock any door, even a door between worlds, and his second in command happens to own the very place where Erewhon is buried? The king is insane, Chaol said. If he plans to raise Erewhon, who says he hasn't already? Aedion said. Aelin glanced at Rowan. His face was grim. If there is a Valg king in this world, we need to move fast, get those word keys and banish them all back to their hellhole. She nodded. Why now, though? He's had the 2 keys for at least a decade. Why bring the Valg over now? It would make sense, Chaol said, if he's doing it in anticipation of raising Erewhon again, to have an army ready for him to lead. Aelin's breathing was shallow. The summer solstice is in 10 days. If we bring down magic on the solstice when the sun is strongest, there's a good chance my power will be greater then too. She turned to Aedion. Tell me you found a lot of hellfire.
Oh, fuck. That's a big plot revelation. That Elena didn't do what was intended with the key, the lock. She didn't do what she was supposed to do. We don't really know what that is, but she didn't do it. And really, they thought that she did do it, paid the ultimate price, and that the Valak King was yeeted from this world.
They think that Gavin Haviliad slayed him.
Yeah.
And they think that he's this like war hero.
A Val killer, yeah, literally.
You're fucking liars.
They just put him in a tune
and you know, Celaena was seeing Aelin for months and she didn't fucking tell her.
Nope. And really, she just put him in a box, hid him away in hopes that nobody would find him, but somebody has, and he's now just somebody else's problem. They didn't really fix anything.
Nope.
That's a big revelation.
Yeah, I remember reading that and being like, fuck.
When she says, what's the Black Mountains in the Fey language? And he says, Morath, I was like, oh.
No one hit the thing on TikTok. I was like, shit.
Yeah, literally.
Shit.
Yeah.
That.
Gagged.
Yeah. Roland pops back up. I totally forgot about this.
Oh, yeah.
Roland Haviliard.
Yeah.
Dorian's cousin.
I forgot about this as well.
Her eyes met his, and the ancient malice in them shrank back. Get away, he hissed. Manon did no such thing. Were you sent here? She roared. The young man surged up, but then Astrid was there, pinning his legs. Make him bleed, she said from behind Manon. The creature continued thrashing, and in the darkness, some of the 13 were still shouting in agony and terror. Who sent you? Manon bellowed. His eyes shifted, turning green, turning clear. It was with a young man's voice that he said, kill me. Please kill me. Roland. My name was Roland. Then blackness spread across his eyes again, along with pure panic at whatever he beheld in Manon's face and in Astrid's over her shoulder. The demon inside the man shrieked, get away.
Oh. Again, I feel like that's all I ever do is just be like, there is such a good writer because, and I feel like the way that people who are effectively possessed by the Valg are portrayed is really interesting because you don't just get super evil, super villains from you have this like flickering back and forth. Like you see their weakness, like they're not in a horror way, they're not very effective.
No.
Like everybody's fighting to get out. They're not capable of controlling anybody wholeheartedly.
Well, other than the kings, really.
Yeah.
Or the princes, like whatever, Like the
demons.
Yeah, like they're just the lesser, like...
not capable. And that's really interesting to see what is supposed to be considered like the villain in this book or the series. And they're always like at wars with the body that they're hosting because everybody's wills are trying to push them out.
Well, I don't know whether I've got the quote later on, but Caltaine says, like, I took a bite out of him and then another bite and then a few days later another nibble until I was able to overpower him. And she's been not under the control of a demon for months. She's just been playing the long game.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Very interesting.
So interesting. So obviously, Aelin left Doranel with giving Maeve Athril's ring back.
Yes.
And she gets Rowan.
Yeah.
Logan obviously rocks up, and he's stolen the ring from Maeve. And Logan says, you should have known better. You should have known she wasn't some sentimental fool pining after her lost love. She had plenty of things from Athril. Why would she want his ring and not gold ring? Stop dancing around and tell us what it is. But I'm having so much fun. The ring, Logan said, wasn't some family heirloom from Athril. She killed Athril. She wanted the keys and the ring, and he refused, and she killed him. While they fought, Brannon stole them away, hiding the ring with Goldring and bringing the keys here. Didn't you ever wonder why the ring was in that scabbard? A demon hunting sword and a ring to match. If Maeve wants to kill demons, Rowan said, we won't complain. The ring doesn't kill them. It grants immunity from their power. A ring forged by Mala herself. The Val could not harm Athril when he wore it. Aelin's eyes widened even more, the scent of her fear shifting to something far deeper than dread of bodily harm. The bearer of that ring, Loken went on, smiling at the terror caught in her smell, need never fear being enslaved by Wordstone. You handed her your own immunity. And I forgot that as well.
Yeah,
I forgot about that ring.
And really interesting that why is Loken sewn it back off Maeve?
Yeah.
If he's so still at the moment still very, devout and serving of Maeve, why steal it off her?
Yeah, when he says, I'm doing it for, the way I'm getting around it is because I'm doing it for her own good. Or I can't remember his actual
his
word.
Own justification,
Yeah, he has a justification to be able to get around the tether that she has on him. But
Very interesting.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Rowan and Aelin decide that they want to bang.
Yep. He does get to use a lavender soap.
He does. For the quote I had was, so they don't bang.
No.
Spoiler alert, they don't fucking bang. I want to take my time with you to learn every inch of you. And this apartment has very, very thin walls. I don't want to have an audience when I make you mourn, Aelin. And this is the first time in Throne of Glass that you get, like, you know, when she slept with Chaol, it was just, it was just that they slept together. But, like, when I make you mourn, we've never had, like, wording like that or anything to that effect.
No. Wild.
Yeah.
While we're kind of on this topic, one of the things that is, like, a common belief by people when we're talking about Throne of Glass, like, themes and things about this book, is that some people, and I tried to look out for it in this book and I didn't come across it. Maybe you did. Maybe it's in further books, but it's not a spoiler. A lot of people believe or get the vibe that obviously Aedion is very loyal to Aelin, right? But I'm sure there's an excerpt of Aedion's in a monologue when he says, it could have been me that was being married to her. And some people think that Aedion, like, kind of has it down for Aelin, like, a little bit. I kind of disagree. I never got that vibe.
I didn't either, I'll be honest.
Apparently there's actual, and I didn't come across it, but apparently there's actual wording that implies, like, he thought he would be marrying Aelin. Yeah. And I don't think a little part of him, it wasn't just about the duty of doing it. I think a little part of him didn't mind that idea.
Okay.
His cousins. I mean,
no, their mums were cousins, so they're like second cousins once removed.
I thought Rowan says we're your mum's sisters.
No, cousins.
Oh.
Mums are cousins.
Still gross.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is.
We've spoken about this, like, on other episodes. We can talk about it now. I know it's distant, but the fact that Rowan and Aelin are related, like, there was just no need to mention it.
Yeah, no, there wasn't any need to mention it because he's, like, hundreds of years old. So, like, the dilution of the bloodline by the time it gets to Aelin, who genuinely is only 19, like, is, like, nothing. Yeah. So why ever say it? Like, because it just makes things weird.
Yeah. But she's also, like, kind of related to Dorian.
Yeah, they're all fucking related, apparently, in this book.
Yeah.
After that scene, the next day they woke up. No, well, it's not like that. Evangeline turns up at the apartment.
Yeah.
They took her. Ooh, Aelin said, brushing back the girl's hair, wondering whether she would panic if she held her. The king's men, Evangeline whispered, they came with a letter from Arobin, said it was in Arobin's will that they be told about Lysandra's bloodline. Aelin's heart stopped dead. Worse, far worse than what she'd braced for. They said she was a shapeshifter. They took her and they were going to take me too, but she fought them and she made me run and Clarice wouldn't help. Where did they take her? Evangeline sobbed. I don't know. Lysandra said I was to come here if anything happened. She told me to tell you to run.
Wild that Arobin knew about Lysandra's bloodline
all along.
His fucking little sneaky fingers run deep, don't they?
We need a fucking novella of, like, Arobin before.
Life. Yeah,
because how the fuck does he know all of this stuff?
Because this is a real fan theory, right? But I think, like, was he partially Fae?
Yeah, maybe.
Is that he
can smell,
exactly.
Smell bloodlines, because obviously Rowan knew she was a shapeshifter straight away.
Yeah, curious, innit?
But Lysandra's rescue is one of my favourite things ever.
Me too.
So obviously the witches are meeting with the king's men. Yeah. Dorian's there, the king's there, Aelin's there, Chaol's there, Nesrin's there, Aedion, Rowan.
Yeah,
all the big players are on the same court. Yeah. The prince was now leaning against a gnarled oak. Noticing her attention, he gave her a lazy grin. It was enough. King's son or not, she didn't give a damn. Manon crossed the clearing, Sorel behind her, on edge but keeping her distance. There was no one in earshot as Manon stopped a few feet away from the crown prince. Hello, princeling, she purred. And then we flip to Dorian's POV. The ancient, cruel demon squatting inside him began thrashing as the white-haired witch sauntered up to him. It had been content to sneer from afar. One of us, one of ours, it hissed to him. We made it, so we'll take it. Every step closer made her unbound hair shimmer like moonlight on water, but the demon began scrambling away as the sun lit up her eyes. Not too close, it said. Do not let that witchling too close. The eyes of the Val Kings. Hello, princeling, she said, her voice bedroom soft and full of glorious depth. Hello, witchling, he said, and the words were his own. For a moment he was so stunned that he blinked. He blinked. The demon inside of him recoiled, clawing at the walls of his mind. Eyes of the Val Kings, eyes of our masters, it shrieked. Do not touch that one. Is there a reason you're smiling at me, she said, or shall I interpret it as a death wish? Do I need a reason to smile at a beautiful woman? I'm not a woman. Her iron nails glinted as she crossed her arms. And you, she sniffed. Man or demon? Prince, he said. That's what the thing inside him told him he was. He had never learned his name. Do not speak to it. Cocked his head. I've never been with a witch. Let her rip out his throat for that. End it. A row of iron fangs snapped down over her teeth as her smile grew. I've been with plenty of men. You're all the same, taste the same. She looked at him over as if he were her next meal. I dare you, he managed to say. Her eyes narrowed, the gold like living embers. He'd never seen anyone so beautiful. This witch had been crafted from the darkness between the stars. I think not, Prince, she said in her midnight voice. She sniffed again, her nose crinkling slightly. But would you bleed red or black? I'll bleed whatever colour you tell me to. Step away, get away, the demon prince inside him yanked so hard he took a step, but not away, toward the white-haired witch. She let out a low, vicious laugh. What is your name, Prince? His name. He didn't know what that was. He ran a finger along the curve of the collar, and he shuddered, in fear, in pleasure, in anticipation of the nails tearing into his throat. What is your name? A command, not a question, as eyes of pure gold met his. Dorian, he breathed. Your name is nothing, your name is mine, the demon hissed, and a wave of that human woman screaming swept him away.
Jesus fucking Christ. Gold eyes like the Val King.
I forgot that.
Yeah, I forgot it, but we learned that the witches were descendants of the Val Kings.
Yeah, we knew that the Val created the witches.
But I don't think it's clear how closely related they are. The fact that just the eyes make whatever's inside Dorian actually scared.
Yeah, and allow Dorian out.
Yeah, allow him to slip,
and
through.
He says his name. It's the first time he's remembered his name the whole time.
Sorry, the tension between Manon and Dorian, because that's the only time in this book they're in together for what's that, like a page?
Yeah,
sizzling, piping
honestly,
hot.
like kicking my legs around.
Oh, the thought when he says when a claw scrapes his collar and he recoils in fear but also pleasure.
Yeah,
Jesus,
anticipation.
Oh, yeah. That's bi panic.
Yeah,
right there. That right there, Sarah. What you've written is a page of bi panic.
Yeah, it's I fancy Dorian. I fancy Manon. I fancy them both. I want a threesome.
Yeah, literally.
So then this is Manon. The wing leader looked her up and down. Who are you? An order, not a question. Aelin Galathynius. Surprise, and perhaps something else, something Aelin couldn't identify, sparked in the wing leader's golden eyes. The Queen of Terrasen. Aelin bowed, not daring to take her attention off the witch. At your service. Only 3 feet separated her from the Blackbeak heir. The witch sliced a glance at Chaol, and then at Aedion and Rowan. Your court? What's it to you? The wing leader studied Aedion again. Your brother? My cousin, Aedion. Almost as pretty as me, wouldn't you say? The witch didn't smile. Manon turned away, barking at her 13 to get to their mounts. I suppose, the Queen went on, Manon turned away. I suppose, the Queen went on, that makes you smarter than Baba Yellowlegs. Manon stopped, staring straight ahead and seeing nothing of the grass or sky or trees. Astrin whirled. What do you know of Baba Yellowlegs? The Queen gave a low chuckle, despite the warning growl from the Fey warrior. Slowly, Manon looked over her shoulder. The Queen tugged apart the lapels of her tunic, revealing a necklace of thin scars as the wind shifted. The scent, iron and stone and pure hatred, hit Manon like a rock to the face. Every iron-teeth witch knew the scent that forever lingered on those scars. Witch killer. Perhaps Manon would lose herself in blood and gore instead. Your carry-on, Manon said, and lunged, only to slam face first into an invisible wall and then freeze entirely. Because obviously Aelin was drawing word marks in the floor in Chaos Bud.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they go on to fight.
And honestly, I have to say, when I say fight, I mean like a one-on-one fight. We're not talking big battles. I think the most iconic in this whole series. Oh my God,
so iconic.
Phenomenal.
So Aelin says, swords are boring, and palms to fighting knives. Manon sheathed wind cleaver along her own back. She flicked her wrists, the iron nails shooting out. She cracked her jaw and her fangs descended. Indeed. The queen looked at the nails, the teeth, and grinned. Honestly, it was a shame that Manon had to kill her. And then obviously she gets trapped.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know I'm jumping through it now.
No.
Slowly, painfully, Manon heaved herself onto a slab of marble, her face coated in pale dust, blue blood leaking down her temple. Across the ravine, cut off entirely, the golden-haired witch was on her knees. Manon. And then Aelin's thinking, I don't think you've ever grovelled for anything in your life, Wing Leader, the king had said. There was a Blackbeak witch on her knees, begging whatever gods they worshipped, and there was Manon Blackbeak struggling to rise as the temple island crumbled away. Aelin took a step onto the bridge. Astrid, that was the golden-haired witch's name. She screamed for Manon again, a plea to rise, to survive. Aelin had felt it before, a thread in the world, a current running between her and somebody else. She'd felt it one night years ago and had given a young healer the money to get the hell out of this continent. She'd felt the tug and had decided to tug back. Here it was again, that tug, toward Manon, whose arms buckled as she collapsed to the stone. Her enemy, her new enemy, who would have killed her and Rowan if given the chance, a monster incarnate. But perhaps the monsters needed to look out for each other every now and then. Run, Aedion roared from across the ravine. So she did. Aelin ran for Manon, leaping over the fallen stones, her ankle wrenching on loose debris. The island rocked with her every step, and the sunlight was scalding, as if Mala were beholding that island aloft with every last bit of strength the goddess could summon in this land. Then Aelin was upon Manon Blackbeak, and the witch lifted hateful eyes to her. Aelin hauled off stone after stone from her body, the island beneath them buckling. You're too good a fighter to kill, Aelin breathed, hooking an arm under Manon's shoulders and hauling her up. The rock swayed to the left but held. Oh gods, if I die because of you, I'll beat the shit out of you in hell. She could have sworn the witch let out a broken laugh as she got to her feet, nearly a dead weight in Aelin's arms. You should let me die, Manon rasped, as they limped over the rubble. I know, Aelin panted.
Oh God, that fucking scene.
I know. And then it flips to Manon's POV.
Yeah.
And she looks. She looked to the brown-haired man, Kaol, who pressed a hand to the arrow wound in Rowan's shoulder to staunch the bleeding. The queen's shoulders were shaking. Fireheart, the Fey warrior murmured. Manon would have watched, had she not coughed blood onto the bright grass and blacked out. When she awoke, they were gone. Only minutes had passed, because then there were booming wings and Abraxas's roar. And there were Astrid and Sorel rushing for her before the wyverns had fully landed. The Queen of Terrasen had saved her life. Manon didn't know what to make of it, for she now owed her enemy a life debt, and she had just learned how thoroughly her grandmother and the King of Ardalan intended to destroy them.
Yeah. Yep.
And at this point, Astrid's been demoted, her and Manon are not on good terms at all. So for her to be on her knee, and the 13 are always presented as hard-faced, no emotions, get the job done.
If someone needs to die, they need to die.
They're very military.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So to see Astrid on her knees screaming for Manon, it was just you feel it.
And maybe I'm jumping ahead. I can't remember if this quote's in this book now. But doesn't Manon say, "Why did you save me"?
It's not Manon who says it. I'm probably going to cry reading this.
Okay.
Is there anything you want to discuss about the Manon and Aelin fight before I get into this?
No.
Okay. It's a big one, so I apologise for my voice
for
the next 5 minutes.
Okay.
But...
Oh no. No.
Astrid stared out across the mountains, so vibrant here now that they were far from the darkness of Morath. A balmy breeze flitted between them, ruffling Astrid's curls until they looked like sunshine given form. When I was 28, I was off hunting Crocians in a valley just west of the Fangs. I had 100 miles to go before the next village, and when a storm rolled in, I didn't feel like landing. So I tried to outrace the storm on my broom, tried to fly over it, but the storm went on and on, up and up. I don't know if it was the lightning or the wind, but suddenly I was falling. I managed to get control of my broom long enough to land, but the impact was brutal. Before I blacked out, I knew my arm was broken in 2 different places. My ankle twisted beyond use and my broom shattered. When I awoke, I was in a human cabin, my broom in pieces beside the bed. The man who had found me said he'd been riding home through the storm and saw me fall from the sky. He was a young hunter, mostly of exotic game, which was why he had a cabin out in the deep wild. I think I would have killed him if I'd had any strength, if only because I wanted his resources. But I faded in and out of consciousness for a few days while my bones knitted together. And when I awoke again, he fed me enough that he stopped looking like food or a threat. I stayed there for 5 months. I didn't hunt a single Crocian. I helped him stalk game, found ironwood, and began carving a new broom. And we both knew what he was, that I was long-lived and he was human. But we were the same age at that moment, and we didn't care. So I stayed with him until my orders bade me report back to Blackbeak Keep. And I told him, I said I'd come back when I could. I was a month pregnant when I arrived back at Blackbeak Keep. You were already gone, off on your next mission. I told no one, not until I knew that the pregnancy would actually survive those first few months. Not unexpected, as most witches lost their offspring during that time. For the witchling to grow past that threshold was a miracle in itself. But I made it to 3 months, then 4, and when I couldn't hide it anymore, I told your grandmother. She was pleased and ordered me on bed rest in the keep, so nothing disturbed me or the witchling in my womb. I told her I wanted to go back out, but she refused. I knew better than to tell her I wanted to return to that cabin in the forest. I knew she'd kill him, so I remained in the tower for months, a pampered prisoner. You even visited twice, and she didn't tell you I was there, not until the witchling was born. I made a plan. The moment I recovered from the birth, the moment they looked away, I'd take the witchling to her father and present her to him. I thought maybe a life in the forest, quiet and peaceful, would be better for my witchling than the bloodshed we had. I thought maybe it would be better for me. I gave birth. The witchling almost ripped me in 2 coming out. I thought it was because she was a fighter, because she was a true Blackbeak, and I was so proud. Even as I was screaming, even as I was bleeding, I was so proud of her. She was stillborn. I wanted to hear that cry of triumph, but there was only silence. Silence, and then your grandmother. Your grandmother struck me. She beat me again and again. All I wanted was to see my witchling, and she ordered them to have her burned instead. She refused to let me see her. I was a disgrace to every witch who had come before me. I was to blame for a defective witchling. I had dishonoured the Blackbeaks. I had disappointed her. She screamed it at me again and again. And when I sobbed, a stillborn was a witch's greatest sorrow and shame, but for her grandmother, Astrid unbuttoned her jacket and shrugged it off into the flowers. She removed her shirt and the one beneath until her golden skin glowed in the sunlight, her breasts full and heavy. Astrid turned, and Manon fell to her knees in the grass. There, branded on Astrid's abdomen in vicious, crude letters, was one word: unclean. She branded me, had them heat up the iron in the same flame where my witchling burned, and stamped each letter herself. She said I had no business ever trying to conceive a Blackbeak again, that most men would take one look at the word and run. 80 years. For 80 years she had hidden this, but Manon had seen her naked, No, she hadn't. Not for decades and decades. When they were witchlings, yes, but... In my shame, I told no one. Sorel and Vesta... Sorel knew because she was in that room. Sorel fought for me, begged your grandmother. Your grandmother snapped her arm and sent her out. But after the matron chucked me into the snow and told me to crawl somewhere and die, Sorel found me. She got Vesta, and they brought me to Vesta's eyrie deep in the mountains, and they secretly took care of me for the months that I couldn't get out of bed. Then one day, I just woke up and decided to fight. I trained, I healed my body, I grew strong, stronger than I'd been before, and I stopped thinking about it. A month later, I went hunting for Crosians and walked back into the keep with 3 of their hearts in a box. If your grandmother was surprised I hadn't died, she didn't show it. You were there that night I came back. You toasted in my honour and said you were proud to have such a fine second. I never went back to the hunter. I don't know how to explain the brand, how to explain your grandmother or apologise. I was afraid he'd treat me as your grandmother had, so I never went back. I'd fly overhead every few years, just to see. He never married, and even when he was an old man, I'd sometimes see him sitting on that front porch as if he were waiting for someone. Something was cracking and aching in Manon's chest, caving in on itself. Astrid sat among the flowers and began pulling on her clothes. She was weeping silently, but Manon didn't know if she should reach out. She didn't know how to comfort, how to soothe. I stopped caring, Astrid said at last, about anything and everything. After that, it was all a joke and a thrill, and nothing scared me. That wildness, that untamed fierceness, they weren't born of a free heart, but of one that had known despair so complete that living brightly, living violently, was the only way to outrun it. But I told myself, Astrid finished buttoning her jacket, I would dedicate my life wholly to being your second, to serving you, not your grandmother, because I knew your grandmother had hidden me from you for a reason. I think she knew you would have fought for me, and whatever your grandmother saw in you that made her afraid, it was worth waiting for, worth saving. So I have. That day Abraxas had made the crossing, when her 13 had looked ready to fight their way out should her grandmother give the order to kill her. Astrid met her stare. Sorel, Vesta and I have known for a very long time what your grandmother is capable of. We never said anything because we feared if you knew, it could jeopardise you. The day you saved Petra instead of letting her fall, you weren't the only one who understood why your grandmother made you slaughter the Crosians.
Oh, fuck. Yeah.
That whole story about her being pregnant and the hunter in the cabin in the woods.
Her checking over every few years and he just never remarried and he sat there.
Waiting.
Yep. And like, she doesn't have to write backstories like this.
No. We don't need a reason for Astrid's behaviour. Like, they're witches.
There could have been a lot more of like a shallower reason.
Yeah. 100%.
She didn't have to put her whole chest into that backstory because, like, this is not in a rude way, but like, there's a really big cast of characters in this. But like, Astrid and the witches are actually probably side characters.
Yeah.
Like, they're not main characters by any means. She didn't have to put that much into that character. But this is what we say when the series is so special, is because there is no stone unturned. If someone's gonna have dialogue and have like emotion, she's putting a backstory in it.
But it also then really gives us the backstory of why Astrid is defying Manon and saying, like, you can't we can't give witches to the Valve.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? And then that chapter ends with Astrid saying, I'm begging you, Manon, do not let your grandmother and these men take our witches and use them like this. Do not let them turn our witchlings into monsters. What they've already done, I am begging you to help me undo it. Manon swallowed hard, her throat achingly tight. If we defy them, they will come after us and they will kill us. I know, we all know. That's what we wanted to tell you the other night. Manon looked at her cousin's shirt as if she could see through the brand beneath. That is why you've been behaving this way. I'm not foolish enough to pretend that I don't have a weak spot where witchlings are concerned. I don't think it's a weak spot, Manon admitted and glanced over his shoulder to where Abraxas was sniffing at the wildflowers. You're to be reinstated as second. Astrid bowed her head. I'm sorry, Manon. You have nothing to be sorry for, she dared add. Are there others whom my grandmother treated this way? Not in the 13, but in other covens. Most let themselves die when your grandmother cast them out. And Manon had never been told. She had been lied to. Manon gazed westward across the mountains. Hope. A lead had said hope for a better future, for a home. Not obedience, brutality, discipline, but hope. We need to proceed carefully. Astrid blinked, the gold flecks in her black eyes glittering. What are you planning? Something very, very stupid, I think.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's tough.
What do you add to that? Like, I don't really know what you say to it.
I'm like, haha.
And
Cool.
you've probably got this as a quote, but obviously then all of this is adding to the fact of, like, tides are turning for Manon. She's just had a rival queen who, if the shoe was on the other foot, Manon would have killed her, save her life. She's now starting to understand why Astrid's been so defiant.
And that her grandmother's a
and that this almost
bitch.
like this niggling feeling she's always had inside her that she's shut down to be like, no, everyone else is obedient. It's just you. Don't just ignore this. Actually, no. Like, this is empathy. This is sympathy. This is feeling. And it's okay to feel like that. And you're not the only one that feels like it. The rest of your 13 do. And then Manon subsequently goes on to write that sign on the wall in Aelin.
Yeah. So the quote you were on about, this is Rowan speaking.
Yeah.
Why? Why did you save her? Because that golden-haired witch Astrid, she screamed Manon's name the way I screamed yours. How can I take away somebody who means the world to somebody else, even if she's my enemy? I thought you were dying. It seemed like bad luck to let her die out of spite. And falling into a ravine seemed like a pretty shitty way to die for someone who fights that spectacularly. Rowan smiled, drinking in the sight of her. You make me proud to serve you. A jaunty slant to her lips, but silver lined her eyes. I know.
Oh, God.
I know.
Side note, Manon's sword being called Windcleaver is fucking hot girl shit.
Yeah. This again, like, fucking hell, stabbed me in the chest. Just Lysandra saying to Aelin, like, I can't believe you saved me. I can't believe you saved me. Aelin says, you thought we wouldn't come for you. I've never had friends who cared what happened to me other than Sam and Wesley. Most people would have let me be taken, dismissed me as just another whore. I've been thinking about that. Oh. And then Aelin gives her a letter, and Lysandra opens it. I, Clarice de Vency, hereby declare that any debts owed to me by Lysandra and Evangeline are now paid in full. At their earliest convenience, they may receive the mark of their freedom. Lysandra saying, do you know how much money? And like, Aelin cuts her off and says, did you think I'd leave you enslaved to her? And then she says, I don't know how to thank you. And Aelin replies, you don't need to.
Oh. Yeah. Building her court.
Yeah.
And not to like discredit Aelin as a person, because she genuinely is a really good person, but also she's probably just thinking strategically. I'm not saying that 90% of it is obviously emotion.
I have a shifter on my side.
It's not a bad person to have on your side, is it? You know?
This is her and Kale talking just before they go to rescue Dorian. She says to him, the blow is yours, just say the word. We do not look back, Kale. It helps no one and nothing to look back. We can only go on. And he replies, what if we go on only to more pain and despair? What if we go on only to find a horrible end waiting for us? Aelin looked northward as if she could see all the way to Terrasen. Then it is not the end.
One of my favourite quotes.
Yeah,
stunning. So then they go back to the glass castle to save Daddy Dorian.
Yeah, and just before they go, Rowan and Aelin are talking to each other. And she says to Rowan, you make me want to live, Rowan, not survive, not exist, live.
Yep.
The message on the wall had been only one sentence, payment for a life debt. One sentence just for Aelin Galathynius. One sentence that changed everything. Witch killer, the human is still inside him.
Oh, it's fucking iconic.
And that's written in Valg blood. Yeah, can I just point that out? So she's killed, not only has she gone there and done that, she's killed a lot of Valg on the way.
There's a really famous TikTok edit of like the art of that and music over it, and oh my god, I want that tattooed so fucking bad.
This is just before they break up then to go into the glass castle, because obviously Adrian and Rowan are going to go into the tunnels.
Yes.
Slowly, Adrian drew his blade and knelt, his head bowed as he lifted the sword of Orinth. 10 years of shadows, but no longer. Light up the darkness, Majesty. She did not have room in her heart for tears, would not allow or yield them. Aelin took her father's sword from him, its weight a steady, solid reassurance. Aegon rose, returning to his place beside Rowan. She looked at them, at the three males who meant everything, more than everything. Then she smiled with every last shred of courage, of desperation, of hope for the glimmer of that glorious future. Let's go rattle the stars.
God. So Aegon gives her the Sword of Orinth.
She gives it back to him in the
Where's
end.
Goldrin then?
I don't know. She has got it though.
Yeah, she
but
does have Goldrin,
I think
doesn't
she's
she?
like making a statement going into
With
the
the
king.
Sword of Orinth. Yeah, no, I get it.
And obviously, as they walk into the castle, all of Kael's men are strung up and on the spikes outside the castle. Rest, Brullo, like all of his men. And then she walks up to the castle with Kael in chains and says, "Tell His Majesty that his champion has returned and she's brought him one hell of a prize."
Oh, queen shit.
Meanwhile, Lorcan's lied. He didn't kill the word hounds. He'd given them Rowan's scent, and now they're fucking killing Rowan and Aegon in
the catacombs, basically. Yeah.
And then this is the king talking to Aelin. "I think there is more that you know, Aelin Galathynius. Things that perhaps only the heir of Bran and Galathynius might have learned." The third word key. "You wouldn't dare," Aelin said. The prince's neck was taut as he panted as the darkness whipped him. Once, twice, lashings. She knew that pain. "He's your son, your heir. You forget, princess," the king said, "that I have 2 sons."
Oh, fuck.
That's rough.
Yeah, really rough.
And Kael's fucking losing his mind. Yeah. She shows him the eye of Elena and like twinkles it so that it's shimmering, which she knows that can be used to unlock Erewhon's tomb. And the king's eyes went wide and he rose from his throne. "You've just made the mistake of your life, girl." He might have a point. The noontime bells were ringing, yet the clock tower still stood.
Yeah.
And obviously they're getting battered, so
they're not knocking down that tower anytime soon.
Yeah. And then she leaves Kael with the king.
Yeah.
And she flees.
Yeah.
"You'd kill me, Captain, such dramatics." That's the king speaking. They'd gotten away. Aelin had gotten Dorian out. Her bluff so flawless, even Kael had believed the eye in her hands was the real thing. With the way she'd angled it into the sun so the blue stone glowed, he had no idea where she'd put the real one, if she was even wearing it. But obviously she slipped it into his pocket.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, I'd forget that.
And then this is all from Kael's point of view. For Ress, for Brullo, for Sorsha, for Dorian, for Aelin and Aegon and their family, for the thousands massacred in those labour camps, and for Nesrin, who he'd lied to, who would wait for a return that wouldn't come, for time they wouldn't have together. He had no regrets but that one. A wave of black slammed into him and Kael staggered back a step, the marks of protection tingling on his skin. "You lost," Kael panted. The blood was flaking away beneath his clothes, itching. Another wave of black, identical to the one that had struck Dorian, which Dorian hadn't been able to stand against. Kael felt it that time, the throb of unending agony, the whisper of pain to come. The king approached. Kael lifted his sword higher. "Your wards are failing, boy." Kael smiled, tasting blood in his mouth. "Good thing steel lasts longer." The sun through the windows warmed Kael's back, as if in an embrace, as if in comfort, as if to tell him it was time. "I'll make it count," Aelin had promised him. He had bought her time. A wave of black reared up behind the king, sucking the light out of the room. Kael spread his arms wide as the darkness hit him, shattered him, obliterated him until there was nothing but light, burning blue light, warm and welcome. Aelin and Dorian had gotten away. It was enough. When the pain came, he was not afraid.
Oh, God.
I know. I genuinely thought at that point, Kael's dead.
Oh, me too. Yeah. I originally reading it, yeah.
And then, as if we haven't had enough.
Not quite done.
We get the fight on the glass bridge between Dorian and Aelin. Yeah. And this is from Dorian's POV. It was going to kill her. He wanted it to. Her face, that face. He neared the woman, step by step, across the narrow, shaded bridge, the turrets high above them, gleaming with blinding light. Blood covered her arms, and she panted as she backed away from him, her hands out before her, a gold ring shining on her finger. He could smell her now, the immortal, mighty blood in her veins. Dorian, she said. He did not know that name, and he was going to kill her. You sacrificed yourself. You let him put that collar on you so he could get you out. I'm going to let him put a collar on you, and then we can play. She hit the tower door, fumbling for the latch, but it was iced over. She clawed at the ice, glancing between the prince and the sun that had begun to peek around the corner of the tower. Dorian was 10 steps away. She whirled back around. Saoirse. Her name was Saoirse, and she loved you. You loved her, and they took you away from her. And they took her away from you. The 5 steps. There was nothing human in that face, no flicker of memory in those sapphire eyes. Aelin began weeping, even as blood leaked down from her nose, from his nearness. I came back for you, just like I promised. A dagger of ice appeared in his hand, its lethal tip glinting like a star in the sunlight. I don't care, Dorian said. She shoved a hand between them as if she could push him away, grabbing one of his own hands tight. His skin was so cold as he used the other to plunge the knife into her side. And then this is her talking to him. We get to come back, Dorian, we get to come back from this loss, from this darkness. We get to come back, and I came back for you. Fight it, she panted, the sun angled closer. Fight it. We get to come back. Brighter and brighter, the golden ring pulsed at his finger. And then this is Dorian. You human worm. Take it off. Take it off. Because he's trying to get the ring off him. And then they fire their power at each other. Mm-hmm. And I thought this was really interesting. Sorry, it's flicking back and forth between Aegon and Rowan being down in the sewers and Aelin and Dorian being up there. And they're sort of realising now there's too many Valg soldiers. We're not getting out of this. Yeah. And obviously, all the way through this book, Aegon's been so spiky towards Rowan. He's been horrible. It's been an honour, Prince, Aegon said to Rowan. Aegon stepped in front of Rowan, useless as it would be. They'd kill Rowan once he was dead anyway, but at least he'd go down fighting, defending his brother. At least he would have that.
Oh, God. Jesus fucking Christ.
And then, boom, 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 Aegon didn't care. Not with a row of swords before them, gleaming like the teeth of some mighty beast. The commander's hand came down and was ripped clean off by a ghost leopard. For Evangeline, for her freedom, for her future. Where Lysandra lunged, slashing with claws and fangs, soldiers died.
I love her.
I love her so much.
That's such big dick energy.
The fact that she chose Ghost Leopard because all the Fae were still fucking scared of them.
Coming in and saving the day, like, remember I'm a shapeshifter, now I'm a fucking leopard.
Yeah, bang, 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 bang.
Bite all your fucking heads off.
And then you get like a flashback to Lysandra running through the city. Mm-hmm. And as she's getting close to the doors, one of the guards on the wall of the castle loosed a bolt from a crossbolt, and it was knocked from the air by an arrow. Lysandra landed on the guard's face and shredded it with her clothes. There was only one sharpshooter with that sort of aim. Lysandra loosed a roar and became a storm of death upon the guards. When Lysandra deadlocked, it was in time to see Nesrin and Philippe draw another arrow atop the neighbouring rooftop.
Oh, so fucking class.
And, like, again, it shows that Nesrin's such a good mark. Yeah. She missed Aelin on purpose. Like, we knew it anyway.
Yeah, but, like, that's just more proof that it was intentional.
And then the king turns up on the bridge.
Yeah.
The king of Ardalan stood in the open doorway at the other end of the bridge. Such noble effort from the captain to try to buy you time so you might save my son. Punish her, the demon hissed from the other end of the bridge. Patience. And then he sees the ring. But what have you done? Aelin drew her father's sword. You killed Chaol. The boy didn't even land a single blow. I doubt you will either. You killed him, Aelin snarled. My one regret, the king said to her, is that I did not get to take my time. I'll take my time with you, though. Dorian, what did you say? The voice was hoarse, broken. The king and Aelin both turned toward the prince, but Dorian's eyes were on his father and they were burning like stars. What did you say about Chaol? The king snapped. Silence. Did you kill him? Not a question. Aelin's lips began trembling and she tunneled down, down, down inside herself. And if I did, the king said, brows high, did you kill Chaol? The light at Dorian's hand burned and burned, but the collar remained around his neck. You, the king snapped, and Aelin realised he meant her, just as a spear of darkness shot for her so fast, too fast. The darkness shattered against a wall of ice. Dorian. His name was Dorian Haviliad, and he was the crown prince of Ardalan, and Celaena Sardothien, Aelin Galathynius, his friend. She had come back for him. She faced him, an ancient sword in her hands. Dorian, she breathed. The demon inside him was screaming and pleading and ripping at him, trying to bargain. A wave of black slammed into the shield of ice he'd thrown up between the princess and his father. Soon the king would break through it. Dorian lifted his hands to the wordstone collar, cold, smooth, thrumming. Don't, the demon shrieked, don't. There were tears running down Aelin's face as Dorian gripped the black stone encircling his throat. Bellowing his grief, his rage, his pain, he snapped the collar from his neck.
Oh God, isn't it wild that like what makes, obviously the ring helps, I'm not saying, but like what would break Dorian? The mention of Chaol dying.
I know. And meanwhile, in Morath,
yep,
Celaena is fucking blowing up a shadow fire of hell, and she gives one of the keys to Manon. Oh no, sorry, to Elide. Celaena just squeezed Elide's fingers. You find Celaena Sardothien. Give her this. No one else. No one else. Tell her that you can open any door if you have the key. And tell her to remember her promise to me, to punish them all. When she asks why, tell her I said that they would not let me bring the cloak she gave me, but I kept a piece of it. To remember that promise she made. To remember to repay her for a warm cloak in a cold dungeon.
She has it in her arm.
Yeah.
Oh, that Celaena sacrifices.
Oh my God. It's devastating.
Yeah.
And then we get the king's confession.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the king, my boy. Then the king looked to where she was on her knees, gaping at him. Have you come to save me at last, Aelin Galathynius?
Oh God.
Everything I did, it was all to keep you safe from him. I found the key and brought it to Morath, and he, Harrington, we were young and he took me under the keep to show me the crypt, even though it was forbidden, but I opened it with the key. I opened it and he came. He took Harrington's body and he let his minion take me. He can hide inside a body like a snail in its shell, but cloaking his presence also stifles his own abilities to scent others, like you. And now you are back, all the players in the unfinished game. The Galathynius line and the Haviliad line, which he hated so fiercely all this time, why he targeted my family and yours. You butchered my kingdom, she managed to say. That night her parents died, there had been that smell in the room, the scent of the Valg. You slaughtered millions. I tried to stop it. They could find you based on your magic alone and wanted the strongest of you for themselves. And when you were born, you were so strong, so precious. I couldn't let them take you. I wrested control away just for long enough. To do what? Dorian said hoarsely. To order the towers built and use the spell to banish magic. Dorian kills him. She lifted a hand as Dorian stepped toward his father. They had to ask more, learn more. The crown prince tipped his head back to the sky and roared, and it was the battle cry of a god. Then the glass castle shattered.
Oh.
But what's really interesting, in that huge monologue, I think this is all out of order, in that huge monologue when the king is revealing everything, he says to Aelin, I was trying to goad you that day at the dinner table because I wanted you to burn me. I wanted you to burn the Valg out of me. It was me, but it was me. It wasn't the Valg. It was me trying to get you to lose control so that you burn me. And then the Valg killed all your family for it.
Oh, God.
These Valgs are little bastards, aren't they?
They are, and it's wild to think that he went through all of that and erected those towers, but in reality it was to keep Aelin safe.
Oh.
Because if that wasn't the case, she would have been found out as Aelin way before.
Yeah.
They would have found her years ago.
And then after all of this, Aelin fucking saunters out into the street, jumps up on a soapbox.
Yeah.
Your king is dead. Your prince lives. All hail Dorian Paviliard. My name is Aelin Galathynius, and I am the queen of Terrasen. Your prince is in mourning. Until he is ready, this city is mine. If you loot, if you riot, if you cause one lick of trouble, I will find you and I will burn you to ash. If you revolt against your new king, if you try to take his castle, then this wall will turn to molten glass and flood your streets, your homes, your throats. I killed your king. His empire is over. Your slaves are now free people. If I catch you holding on to your slaves, if I hear of any household keeping them captive, you are dead. If I hear of you whipping a slave or trying to sell one, you are dead. So I suggest that you tell your friends and families and neighbours. I suggest that you act like reasonable, intelligent people. And I suggest that you stay on your best behaviour until your king is ready to greet you, at which time I swear on my crown that I will yield control of this city to him. If anyone has a problem with it, you can take it up with my court. Or you can take it up with me.
Oh, God. Such queen shit.
Honestly.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
And obviously we find out that Cale isn't dead.
Yes, thank fuck.
Just severely, severely injured.
Yeah, this is Rowan talking to Aelin after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
I thought something had gone wrong for you too. I thought you might be dead or hurt, and it killed me not to be next to you, to be able to go to you. Next time we need to save the world, we do it together. She smiled faintly. Deal. You make me want to live too, Aelin Galathynius. Not exist, but live. I spent centuries wandering the world, from empires to kingdoms to wastelands, never settling, never stopping, not for one moment. I was always looking toward the horizon, always wondering what waited across the next ocean, over the next mountains. But I think that whole time, all those centuries, I was just looking for you. I have liked Rowan a lot more in my read through.
Yeah, I agree.
Than
Me
I
too.
did the first time round.
I completely agree with that. I would completely agree with it. I think that I'm still not sold. Like, he's still not up there in my favourite
Yeah, I'm not sold, but
I think you can. Yeah, I think I can appreciate him a lot more this time round.
Yeah. Lysandra and Aidan are watching this, between them two. And Lysandra says, that is what I'm going to find one day. Aidan said, shifting a bit, a gorgeous Fey warrior? Lysandra chuckled, wiping away her tears, and gave him a knowing look before walking away.
Interesting.
Then she's staying in the castle with Dorian, and he says, you both came back. Her throat bobbed. You pulled me out of Endovia. I figured I could return the favour. What do I do now? He met her stare. No calculation, no coldness, no pity in those turquoise eyes. Just unflinching honesty, as there had been from the very start with her. What do I do? She had to swallow before she said, you light up the darkness.
Oh, God. Flippin' heck.
We also find out that Cale's paralysed.
Yeah. And Dorian suggests that he goes...
The Terrasen,
which is in the west?
The south.
The south, sorry. Yeah, the south. To get healed, or to at least try to find something to help him.
Yeah. And he says Nestrin says, promise me you'll walk back out to that castle. And he says, it looks like I'm not keeping my promise because he can't walk. Also, Manon flies a lead out to Morath.
Yeah.
And then just fucking dumps her and says, head north.
Yeah.
She can't fucking walk.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I know. When I was reading it, I was like, oh, don't remember that? Pre-reference, Manon.
I was just like,
the poor girl's had chains around her ankles. She has a disability anyway, because she's been kept like that for so many years. She's literally had chains on the whole time you've been in Morath. Has evidently been struggling, and you just plonk her on her fucking 2 feet and go, off you go.
Yeah. Crack on.
Find your way. Yeah. I have no comment to that, but
yeah. This is lovely.
Okay.
Lysandra put her hands on her hips. Any other tasks for me before I retrieve Evangeline tomorrow? Aelin owed Lysandra more than she could begin to express, but she pulled out a small box from her pocket. There's one more task, Aelin said, holding the box out to Lysandra. You'll probably hate me for it later, but you can start by saying yes. Proposing to me, how unexpected. Aelin waved a hand, her heart pounding. Just open it. Are you proposing to me, Aelin Galathynius? Aelin held her friend's gaze. There's a territory in the north, a small bit of fertile land that used to belong to the Allsbrook family. Adrian took it upon himself to inform me that the Allsbrook have no use for it, so it's been sitting open for a while. It could use a lady. The blood drained from Lysandra's face. What? It's plagued by ghost leopards, hence the engraving on the ring, but I suppose if there were anyone capable of handling them, it would be you. Lysandra's hand shook, and the key symbol above the leopard, to remind you of who now holds your freedom. You.
I forgot that was in this book as well. I was convinced that was much further on.
Yeah. And then,
God, I've just got goosebumps.
Lysandra says, what's the territory called? And she says, I have no idea. Lysandria sounds good. So does Lysandrius. Or maybe Lysandraland. Lysandra gaped at her. You are out of your mind. Will you accept? I don't know the first thing about ruling a territory, about being a lady. Well, I don't know the first thing about ruling a kingdom. We'll learn together.
Oh, God.
And then the night before, obviously they're going to head back to Terrasen. And the night before, Dorian joins them for dinner. 10 years later, and they were all sitting together at a table again, no longer children, but rulers of their own territories. 10 years later, and here they were, friends despite the forces that had shattered and destroyed them. Aelin looked at the kernel of hope glowing in that dining room and lifted her glass. To a new world, the Queen of Terrasen said. The King of Ardalan lifted his glass, such endless shadows dancing in his eyes, but there, a glimmer of life, to freedom.
Oh, God.
No.
Yeah, Sarah really, sticks it in at the end of this.
Oh, my God. I got more.
Oh, yeah, I know. She could have just ended it with Aelin shouting from the castle and then, plug this into the next book. But
honestly,
no, I'm gonna keep going. I'll just keep you stringing along.
This is Manon talking to Astrid.
Yeah.
That human hunter, how did he die? He was old, very old. I think he went into the woods one day and lay down somewhere and never came back. He would have liked that, I think. I never found his body. What was it like, Manon asked quietly, to love? It was like dying a little every day. It was like being alive too. It was joy so complete it was pain. It destroyed me and unmade me and forged me. I hated it because I knew I couldn't escape it. I knew it would forever change me. And that witchling, I loved her too. I loved her in a way I cannot describe, other than to tell you that it was the most powerful thing I've ever felt. Greater than rage, than lust, than magic. I'm surprised you're not giving me the obedience, discipline, brutality speech. Things are changing, Manon said. Good, Astrid said. We're immortals. Things should change, and often, or they'll get boring.
I think I need to send Sarah my therapy bill.
Yeah, same.
Quite honestly.
Her, Dorian and Kale all go back to her bedroom in the castle, and she asks Dorian to be her ambassador and try and, drum up some goodwill in the south. Dorian said, so here we are. The end of the road, Aelin said with half a smile. No, Kale said, his own smile faint, tentative. The beginning of the next.
And it's like the three of them back together again in her bedroom.
And then Dorian standing on the balcony and Manon flies past to check on him and he waves to her. Her hair streaming behind her like a glittering banner. They crested the hill and halted. Aelin released the reins and took a staggering step, the emerald grass soft underfoot. Adrian touched her shoulder. Welcome home, Aelin. A land of towering mountains, the staghorns spread before them, with valleys and rivers and hills, a land of untamed wild beauty. Terrasen, and the smell of pine and snow. How had she never realised that Rowan's scent was of Terrasen, of home? Rowan came close enough to graze her shoulder and murmured, I feel as if I've been looking for this place my entire life.
Oh my God.
Right there, Adrian said, pointing to a small, weather-worn granite boulder carved with whorls and swirls. Once we passed that rock, we're on Terrasen soil. Not quite daring to believe she wasn't still asleep, Aelin walked toward that rock, whispering the song of thanks to Mala, Firebringer, for leading her to this place, this moment. Aelin ran her hand over the rough rock and the sun-warmed stone tingled as if in greeting. Then she stepped back beyond the stone, and at long last, Aelin Galathynius was home. It would be one thing just to have like the Aelin storyline and be feeling really like sad about everything, you know, that happened. But like
everyone
the
has
Manon, the Elide, Astrid, like fucking hell, we can't catch a break.
Yeah, Lysandra, Evangeline, Aegon, Rowan, Kale, Dorian, even Dorian's dad.
Oh, yeah, that the king's last like revelation before he dies is
hard. Caltaine. Yeah, it's wild. The last two books, like, and when I say they make me sad, like in the best way, but like it's just heart wrenching.
Yeah,
I feel like our fun little like, you know.
Should we do a TOG reread? Should we do an 8 week stock? And I'm like, why the fuck have we done this?
Yeah, I know. And like the first couple were like, I feel like Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, they were fun, you know? Like, ha ha ha. Like, let's take the piss out of Kale and Dorian. And now
I'm like, should we just cry for an hour?
Yeah,
we've been recording for 2 hours.
This doesn't surprise me. Let's just get fucking sad.
Yeah.
Let's just get real fucking sad every week now.
Yay. I don't really know what to say about that.
I feel like for me, Empire of Storms is, I don't know if it's my favourite. It's hard to say with Kingdom of Ash. I'll tell you after my reread.
Okay.
But I really didn't rate Queen of Shadows, right? And it used to surprise me that it was so many people's favourite. I'd be really surprised. I think Bookish Dad reads when we interviewed him, he was like, yeah, Queen of Shadows is my favourite, 5 out of 5. And I think I still would have given it 5 stars, but I wouldn't. I don't rate it up there, you know? Yeah. But you know now, oh my God, it's easily in my top 3. I actually come back to me after Throne of Glass, after Tower of Dawn.
Yeah.
It might actually now rate higher than Tower of Dawn for me. Because I'd forgotten how much I loved it on this reread. Like, it's incredible.
The Astrid backstory, Caltaine, like...
Yeah, all of it. Because I was convinced all of this happened in Empire of Storms. I knew the basic plot of this was they come back to Ardalan
to save Aegon
and Dorian, and Kale gets paralysed and the king gets killed. But there was so much more of the subplot that I didn't remember being in this book. So much more.
Yeah.
It's painful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what to say, really.
You sick of my voice yet?
No. Honestly, I could listen to you audiobook it. It's lovely.
We get banned now.
Well, I did wonder for how much we're reading. I was like, are we going to get like copyrighted? But oh well. If we're going to go, let's go like that.
If I'm going to go out to anyone, I'll go out to Sarah J. Maas.
With a copyright infringement on us. Thanks, Sarah. Named our fucking podcast down to you without it being copyrighted.
Great.
Come back for next week. Yeah. We cry some more. But the comments on these episodes have been so lovely.
Yeah, they have.
Like, we were nervous about doing this, but this is a departure for us. And I'm not saying never say never, but I don't know if we do a deep dive this intense again.
Yeah, I agree.
think we need some... After this, we need some like fun.
We need to be a bit lighthearted.
Yeah, I need some cock.
Like we need to piss ourselves laughing. Yeah. Like we're not doing that through this.
Yeah,
so
no. But it's nice to do it. Yeah. I think we've always
and it's quite nostalgic.
It is 100%. And I think as well, if there's going to be any other series that we do it for, it might be War of the Lost Hearts.
Yes,
because it's a trilogy, so it isn't as much. But yeah, it's lovely that you guys are enjoying this because we were nervous about it.
And we're enjoying it.
Oh yeah, we're loving it. But we're so used to just being like.
Dickheads,
like dickheads, which we still love, but it's just nice to have a bit of both.
Yeah,
don't think we do it all the time, but we will do it for Throne of Glass.
Unless you want us to.
I don't know if I could sit here every week and be this sad. I'm not gonna lie. I think we're gonna have to have some palate cleansers. We're gonna have to have things like talking about Simon in
maybe after this we do a non-book one. We do a fun one,
or we just do something a bit more like we write like a bit of a wham bam read. You know, I don't know. What are we scheduled to do anything after this?
We've got LJ's interview, so we need to do Bones of whatever.
Oh, Broken. So that needs to be the next book, and then LJ's, and then after that we're a bit more.
We're wide open.
Wide open, yeah. And I not to like this isn't shitting on this, but this is why I'm looking forward to Patreon being Deep End, and why we chose Patreon. Yeah. Well, it was recommended, but we've just done an ACOTAR deep dive as well. Not as intense as this.
No, not as intense as this.
It's just nice.
We didn't reread it, did we? So it was different.
Not fully, no. But it's nice to have like Deep End coming up, you know, as a bit of like a palate cleanser. But I'm loving this.
And me.
It's just so nostalgic. I love this series. I definitely need a fucking witch killer. The human is still inside him tattoo. That's a must.
Yeah.
That's an absolute must in blood. Any departing closing words?
Sorry for my voice.
No, it's lovely. That's all we've had is resounding comments saying how lovely your voice is, Sam. So don't say sorry.
Thanks, ma'am.
Well, because it's not me. It's actual people. I haven't paid them to say that. Yeah.
No, I've got nothing.
Join us next week for Empire of Storm, because we're going to do Empire of Storms, then Tower of Dawn, then Kingdom of Ash. Ash. I don't know when this comes out roughly, but our next author spotlight will be coming out around this time.
Shot in the dark.
So a bit more of like a quickie, light-hearted, which I'll be doing. And then as of the beginning of May, we'll be back with our new season of Author Spotlight.
Yay! Can't wait.
Yep. Anything else?
Nope.
Are we done?
I
hope so.
Thanks so much for listening.
Follow us on TikTok and Instagram at A Pod of Smut and Wingspan.
See you next week.
Bye.